He's been ready to jump in, and here we go.
I was
Let's
first.
bust this out. Oh, wait, I forgot to bring up the stream.
Tweet it out. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Tweet it up, everybody. Tweet it up.
Retweet.
Tweet this thing. We're 5-6 minutes late as Jeff
Hard
is.
work.
That's not what happened.
Nate is on me, too.
It's all it was actually Jeff's fault.
No, it's all my fault. It always is.
Just kidding, Jeff.
What is happening?
People leave on
Got
me
the
to do
broadcast, but I
technology,
can't get
and
the
this is
share.
what you need, folks.
Jesus.
I can make a little mini 5-minute segment out of my McCarthy thing, by the way.
God. Here we go. There they are. It's their late show this evening. There's Matt. It's just piling on. I love it. You know, that's really actually maybe the best segue into this thing is because thank you. But you should blame me because I was a little bit late. It's all good. Here we go. We're down to 1 and game on. There we are.
Done.
Woo. Welcome to America Heals, episode 15. We're rounding the corner on January. It has been one of the wildest months around for a long time, and they've been pretty wild for a long time. So as we get going tonight, we're recognizing that we're in the middle of an ongoing impeachment. We've got a president who is rocking the house, getting a lot of things done. Whether you like it or not, he's just getting stuff done. And Congress is getting ready for, moving pieces on the board, getting ready to do a lot of battle over the next couple of years for legislation. In the meantime, we're dealing with a phenomenon in this country that isn't leaving. And it's the fact that we had just this month the outgoing of a war against our government. And we're already forgetting about it. We're seeing an appeasement caucus. We're seeing a movement that tries to move past it. And that's not going to happen. And so now we're looking at truth. We're looking at fiction. We're looking at lies. We're looking at different realities. I don't know how to describe it, but that's why we're here as a panel. And so it's not just about what I can rant on. It's more than that. We've got Ace in the corner over there. Welcome. It's good to have you, my man. How are you doing?
Good. It's been kind of a weirdly quiet but not quiet week. Got a lot to talk about.
Processing, today. Isn't it? Just like
it's weird. Yeah. I think we're finally all the stuff that's coming in is just the actual this is the aftermath. This is what we're gonna kind of have to deal with, and everything is like that. Biden's trying to patch up holes here and there. We got the aftermath of the January 6th. We got the Republican aftermath and their aftershocks. And basically, I feel like it's a wave, and you don't know where it's going to end, which side they'll pick, because every single week we come on here and we go, how much of this Republican Party is here, and where's the rest? And every single week, maybe in the beginning we started with 80% are normal, they're never going to split. But now it's starting to by the end of this whole thing, I'm starting to think it might be 10% in the government, 10%, not 10% of Republicans. They will find that out in elections. But in the government, people that are already elected, I feel like it's about now 10%. And the rest of them are just now Trump party, and they are lockstep. And we'll talk.
I mean,
about
that's the
thing too. I mean, that's the problem. We'll have to figure out how that whole thing works. It's just to kind of finish up. Imagine if all of a sudden, 80% of everybody of Democrats were more Bernie,
mm-hmm.
and then 20% were more Biden. That would be a huge shift in this country. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying it's a huge political shift to figure out that 80% of Republicans, 90% of the Republicans in Congress are now the Trump party.
And this isn't just about political parties. This is pervading all elements of society. These are people. There is a QAnon element that is sort of you're going to approach how you deal with your school board a certain way as well. There is a QAnon approach to how you approach relationships in a certain way as well. It's when we get this far into clarified bubbles, you either are with me or you're against me. And so as I meet a new person, for instance, it's going to come across, we're going to come to a moment of, or do you believe in that or not? And it's kind of an oil and water moment. Jeff, I just want to sort of segue into that from maybe where you're coming from over there in Kansas, and how are you feeling about all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing friends, they're carrying through some of the nonsense. For example, inappropriate innuendo about Kamala, people saying things like Biden promised a plan, but then he says there's nothing we can do about the trajectory of COVID, which of course those two things are not in any way directly related. Just the sort of continuation of this nonsense, illogical, cult of personality, pure editorial bullshit. It's already kicked in. They're already after Biden with the same thing they were trying to use to support Trump. So yeah, it's more the same. But I mean, I don't know about everybody else. It's a lot easier to laugh off when we've got Biden in the White House than it was when you see these same people making these same kind of logical steps when their person's in the White House. You know what I mean? To me, it's a lot more normal to criticize a president than it is to use crappy logic to attempt to endorse one. So for what it's worth, I am happy that that's happened. Also, of course, I think anyone with half a brain has realized that this sort of blind support of Trump had a pretty bad ending. He's also been silent now for a couple weeks. I think the curtain has fallen. Oz has been seen for who he was, and it turns out he was just a man, and probably a heavy faulted man. And I feel like we're going down the road we need to go down, which is the people that were following him like a messiah have started to realize that they were lied to, as you would be. 99% of messiahs have probably let the.
Well, I think that's what we need. I think that's the piece that we need to get into tonight. Where is that peeling off, and where are people doubling down?
Yeah,
because we're seeing a lot of people in Congress doubling down.
Yes,
and we're also seeing people who seem to know better that are looking at evidence, going, "You guys are stupid idiots," because in about 10 days, people are going to see what our evidence is, and you're going to be standing with that.
Yeah.
So I think we're just at such an amazing crossroads.
There's some lady on TikTok that says on March 4th, Donald Trump will come back as the 17th president of the United States, because sometime in the 1860s, what we think of as the United States was a corporation formed under the King of England or something. It's just like you just literally can't write this stuff. I mean, they have just somebody. They've just created their own. They've just created their own reality. Yeah, we've all just unknowingly been citizens of another thing.
All this time,
and they're going to claim the original power back and somehow place. I mean, it's just the goalposts at this point. The goalposts are bent this way. The goalposts are in the parking lot and they're bent upside down like a U, and they're trying to like literally slide them over Donald Trump. Like they're literally trying to bend the entire universe to somehow get Donald Trump through the goalposts. It's truly wild, as predicted, right? As predicted. I mean, I told you over and over. You box these people in logically, and they just dig through the floor.
Yep,
it's just the truth.
And Mr. Luke, how you doing, brother?
Hello, Marty. Thank you so much for having me on the show yet again. It's an enormous honor.
Thank you.
So
honor to have you as well.
If you'll permit me, I'm just going to set the stage a little bit and end with a couple of questions. And if you're not familiar with American history, we've been at some very significant crossroads before. I think we can all agree that one of the biggest questions that was faced by this new nation was whether or not people who were slaves were real people, whether people of color were real American citizens. There was a famous decision, the Dred Scott decision, which I'm sure you guys have heard of if you ever slept through political science class in high school or whatever. And in this case, the Supreme Court ruled in 1857 that a slave, Dred Scott, who had resided in a free state and territory where slavery was prohibited, was not thereby entitled to his freedom. that African Americans were not and could never be citizens of the United States, and that the Missouri Compromise, which had been passed earlier in 1820, which had declared free or all territories west of Missouri and north of the latitude 3630 was unconstitutional. So the decision added fuel to the sectional controversy and pushed the country closer to civil war. In comes a man, which you may have heard of, called Abraham Lincoln. He gave a famous speech. You guys probably don't think you know all his speeches, but I'm sure you know this speech. It is one of his most famous speeches. What's interesting about the speech, we always imagine that he must have given the speech as a president, but he didn't. He gave it as a failed Republican who was trying to get a seat in the U.S. Senate. It was in 1858, a year after Dred Scott, and he was talking to the Republican convention, and essentially he said, if we could first know where we are and where we're going, we can better judge what to do and how to do it. We are now far into the 5th year since the policy was initiated, with the avowed object and confident promise of putting an end to slavery and agitation. Under the operation of that policy, that agitation was not only not ceased, but has constantly augmented. In my opinion, I will not cease until a crisis shall have been reached and passed. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the union to be dissolved. I do expect expect the house to fall, but I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all the other. Either the opponents of slavery will arrest the further spread of it and place it where the public mind shall rest in the belief that it is in the course of ultimate extinction. Anyway,
keep going.
Or its advocates will push it forward till it shall become alike lawful in all the states, old as well as new, north as well as south. And basically, this brings us to the precipice of the Civil War, which was decided in bloodshed. More soldiers, American lives were killed in the Civil War than all the other American wars combined to this date. I think that was only just passed very, very recently by a couple thousand, but for the longest time, that there was more bloodshed in that battle against one another than in all the wars we had against other people outside our country. If you're familiar with Asha Rangappa, hopefully I'm not butchering her name. Asha is a former FBI special agent, lawyer, faculty at Jackson Yale Law School, I believe it's a law school. Anyway, she's on Twitter. You guys can follow her, Asha Rangappa. She posted a thread today, which was fascinating, and this is basically what it said. I had to take a little break from political Twitter to gather my thoughts on how the GOP is responding to impeachment. I find that in the face of gaslighting, it is useful to repeat things we know to be true and then assess the choices from there to within. Truth number one, Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. He could not accept its outcome. Because of his inability to accept this outcome, he manufactured a big lie that he did win the election and put all of the official powers at his disposal to force this to be the case. Truth number two, as part of this effort, he attempted to, 1, shake down the Secretary of State of Georgia to manufacture 11,780 extra votes that would give him victory in that state. Number 2, conspired with officials and at the Department of Justice to manufacture false and cases of voter fraud in Georgia. Number 3, rallied his supporters using the big lie to convene in Washington, D.C. to fight against Congress Electoral College certification. When this became a violent insurrection at the Capitol, he refused to use his power to either verbally disavow that insurrection or use his official authority to permit the National Guard and other reinforcement mechanisms to protect the official and constitutional functions of a co-equal branch of government. In so doing, he violated his oath of office. Truth number 3, his words and actions, in addition to his failure to act, resulted in the death of 5 people, including law enforcement officials, and the threat to the lives of members of Congress and his own vice president. Truth number 4, he has succeeded.
Henry, I'm
yes.
sorry. slow down, slow down. These are huge.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going back
No,
because
man,
I
we
feel
don't
bad
have
that I'm
to
talking
hurry.
so
We don't have
much.
to hurry through this.
This is
Okay.
Go
good
back
stuff.
to number
Okay.
two.
All
Go
right.
back to number two.
Okay.
Leave it in the chat. If you see
I
me,
feel
I'm not
because I
falling
can't see you guys, so I don't know if I'm
No, dude,
doubling up
I'm-
my time. I'm trying to
No,
set
you're
the
doing good.
stage.
I'm listening.
I'm almost done.
This
So,
stuff is so deeply
yes,
important
all right,
for us to
so-
drive home.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
good.
go back over truth. So we'll go back to truth number 2.
Yeah.
As part of this effort, he attempted to, number 1, shake down the Secretary of State of Georgia to manufacture 11,780 extra votes that would give him victory in that state.
And we all remember that, right?
We do.
We remember each of these was an enormous emotional swallow that every one of us dealt with for days or weeks until the next enormous thing happened. So this is a process we have to do. The very first sentence of this thing was that we have to take these truths and hold them up because of the amount of lies that are being thrown up. So this is
Correct.
This is valuable, dude. This is why we're doing this whole thing right now. Is this.
And he says in the call how he came up with that number. It would give him one more vote than
one
he
more
needed.
extra. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally says, "I need that because that's one vote that gets me to win Georgia."
I have a trend if you want to share it. I don't know.
Not just a group of fraud that he added up. That was.
I do it when I'm finished.
He literally asked for the win.
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's
no. Please interrupt me if I'm going too long. So number 2, he conspired with officials at the Department of Justice to manufacture false cases of voter fraud in Georgia. And 3, he rallied his supporters using the big lie to convene in Washington, D.C. to fight against Congress's Electoral College certification. When this became a violent insurrection at the Capitol, he refused to use his power to either verbally disavow that insurrection or use his official authority to permit the National Guard and other reinforcement mechanisms to protect the official and constitutional functions of a co-equal branch of government.
That wrinkle right there is ball game.
Absolutely.
That's Flynn. That's the 6 phone calls. That's Kevin McCarthy. That's Trump's getting the phone calls. That's people being put in place ahead of time. That's Ali Alexander running around in the night before in this meeting that we now have the insurrectionists who met on the 5th in the Trump White House. It's all there, man, in that wrinkle.
Correct. So in so doing, he violated his oath of office. Truth number 3. His words and actions, in addition to his failure to act, resulted in the deaths of 5 people, including law enforcement officials, and the threat to the lives of Congress and his own vice president. Truth number 4. If he had succeeded, it is unclear what state of functioning our democracy would be in at this moment. Truth number 5. There are members of Congress who subscribe to the big lie and are effectively representing the interests of the domestic terrorists who invaded our capital and our democratic processes. Reasonable people cannot disagree on the above truths. The question is how, whether, and how Trump should be held accountable for truths 1 through 5. Impeachment is one option, though, which he can be held accountable, and specifically whether he should be barred from holding office again. If senators hide, I love this part. If senators hide behind procedural arguments for why Trump's action cannot be adjudicated in an impeachment trial on which the weight of experts agree is permitted, then they are avoiding but not answering the question of accountability. So the only questions to ask these people is, 1, do you believe Trump should be held accountable for his actions? Yes or no? And 2, if not an impeachment, then how? I.e., do they go on record as conceding that criminal prosecution is okay? Underlying both of these questions, of course, is the more fundamental question of all. Do you disavow Trump's big lie? Unless GOP are willing to go on record saying yes, then they are 1, saying the insurrection was justified, and 2, Trump should not be held accountable ever again. So that's basically it. I'll tweet it out onto the show's page once I finish speaking. But let me get back here. So basically, why did I bring all that together? Why did I use this to set the stage and the landscape? It all goes back to that moment in time when Abraham Lincoln could see this. We are not agreeing. We are not agreeing. Half this country thinks we should have slaves. The other half thinks we shouldn't. We have tried. We've had the Missouri Compromise. We've had the Scott decision, and we are not coming to a meeting of the minds here. We are diverging, and it looks to me that this is going to be resolved in all of one way. Either we're all going to become we're all going to agree that slaves are okay, or we're all going to agree that they're not. But we can't live like this. A house divided cannot stand. And right now, the Republican Party needs to decide: are we going to be a country that believes in democracy? Are we going to be a country that has a president or a king? Are we going to be a country where we recognize that Black Lives Matter, that there are people that are disenfranchised, that are treated differently, that when they go out and protest police brutality, someone's kneeling on their neck or smashing their face in, and when someone who's white, is on the Capitol grounds, they're like handheld down some steps and given a red carpet back home or whatever. We have to decide. And so I thought that today, or whether it was today or yesterday evening, the image of the minority leader going down to Florida to kiss the ring of Donald Trump, a man who's a private citizen, who isn't a president, who doesn't have any formal role in our government right now, it puts us in a situation, Marty, where we are at that same crux. We're either going to be, Joe, we hope that the ushering of Joe Biden is a moment when we can avert destruction, avert war. Maybe, there were times like that you'll probably recognize in history, in World War II, for instance, where Neville Chamberlain came back and I have peace in our time. We're going to be fine. And in the end, we ended up having to sort it out on the battlefield. I am very, very, very concerned that if the Republican Party doesn't hurry the fucking hell up right now and decide what it wants to be, what is most important, what it means to be America, what it means to be a democracy, that we're on the precipice of something terrible. Marjorie Taylor, whatever, Green or whatever her name is, she has said the most disgraceful things. She's believed in the most disgraceful things. She has baited violence. She wants violence and all this other stuff. And what do? They put her on a freaking committee, one of the educational committees. It's a slap in our face. So this is like, I'm not trying to be like, negative and everything, but it seems like a fun political, political invasion, talk about it, everything else. But it's going to become something that is going to become quite serious if we don't start recognizing for what it is. We're a democracy. We believe in freedom. We believe in democratic rule and having elected representatives, not some charlatan in Florida that's running the country. So anyway, I'm going to sit back and I was just setting the tone of the title of the show.
Thank you for the succinctness of that presentation and the outlay of it. My piece on this, and I've been having conversations and reading some stuff professionally about codependency and some family systems craziness and stuff. I've had to do some different reading for work, and it's one thing to deal when you go into a relationship or a group or a company or something like that that's got a whole bunch of people, and it's easy to see who the crazy assholes are. They yell. It doesn't take long to encounter them. They bite, they scream, they do whatever, and everybody kind of considers those people the most toxic. But then, if you look at the structure of the system, you have to recognize that it's the people who enable the problem, who are the quiet victims, who are also part of the system. And unless the whole system gets addressed and people change and people speak their truth and other people step their power down, there won't be healing and health. And so to me, Trump is kind of like the piece of sticky whatever gum that we've had to hold on to this whole time. And now we're left with this vacuum where we don't know who the leader of the party is. There's a whole bunch of awful people that are burgeoning up and we're hearing about them. But to go down there is to basically have that dance partner again, because there's a vacuum there. And what we have to really look at now is the whole cast of characters of the enablers, of the people who allowed us to get into this fucking spot. Because this is unbelievable how much denial and enabling and fear people must have to have allowed themselves to go down trail after trail after trail after trail after trail. 6-7 times a day they had to bite off and go further down the trail of craziness, until now somehow there's a whole platform. They didn't have a platform for education or for agriculture or for foreign policy, but they now have an education, or they have a platform on everything QAnon. And it's not even discussed. It's not even argued about anymore. It's the gospel now. Democrats are pedophiles and drink the blood of babies if they get to a certain level. And that's just, what are you guys going to go to the game on Sunday? Like, that's just part of the crazy front, I guess, maybe more lizard brain even. There's no question about it. There's no concern to be judged. There's no shame in being a complete idiot. I'm sorry. I don't want to be judgy, but
but
right.
It is that. That's the problem.
Yeah. I think this is something that can really get out of hand. I'm surprised that the Republicans didn't take that moment, that free moment on January the 7th to say, oh, okay, well, let's reorganize, refocus. That's not us. We're not about that. Trump's gone. We can be the deciders. We can decide and judge which direction the Republican Party is going to go in now, and we can unify and get together. We'll put up our political reasons for objecting to Joe Biden's policy on this, that, and the other, but we will still be, at the end of the day, Americans and citizens of a United States of America.
Yeah.
But they have decided to go this way, apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing. We assume that all of the Republican Party would stop and then come together with a good, but that's not how it works. It's, you have a whole bunch of rats or whatever lizards you want. They're all in one, and the big shoe drops, and they all go running. They don't go running one by one. They all go running. They lost. This is what's going to happen when you lose. You lost big on the presidency. You lost the Senate. You don't have the House. You lost. And they're all running because they lost, and they don't have a winning strategy right now because they backed themselves on Trump, thinking they were going to win. They lost. Then they backed themselves on Trump again in Georgia and lost again. And now, surprisingly, you would think after Georgia, they would go, well, that doesn't work. We just lost the state completely to Democrats. We lost the Senate, but they're still all running and trying to pick sides. And unfortunately, a big majority in the House are just so Trumpy that it's really taking that's a lot of people. And the Senate is just, it's kind of, you have a whole bunch of older people, you have some of the newer people, and they're basically looking at the House and they're like, there's 160 of these people in the House. And here's the other thing, and we'll talk about this later. Here's the fact. There is some good news and bad news coming in 2 years. This thing is going to take at least 2 more years, because if the Republicans, which is what they're doing, they're going to choose Trump again. And in 2 years, their goal is to win back the Senate and to win the House. They're going to do it one more time. Let's go round 3. The problem for them is, I'll show you numbers later, they're not going to win the Senate. It's very hard because they're kind of screwed because they have 3 open seats, which means there's not an incumbent. That person, there's not an incumbent running. So you have 2 brand new people running, but on the Democratic side is you don't have a brand new guy. You got the guy that just ran, who in some cases 2 years ago, or in some cases 6 years ago, they got 45% of the vote.
Right.
He's starting at 45. He already has a ground game. He already has employees. He's good to go. So essentially, the Republicans would have to win two of those seats, two of the open house seats to get the Senate, and they're not going to do it. The good news is the Republicans, couple of those areas are already plus Democratic, so they're already down.
Yeah.
The bad news is, and I'll finish with this, the bad news is the Democrats are not winning the House. That's the bad news. The Democrats are probably going to lose the House because it's happened in every single presidency like ever. It's a thing. On the first turnaround, usually the person that's running the president, if it's a Democrat, he loses the House. I don't know why it's a thing, but there's a graph and it's a thing. So the Democrats are probably not going to win the House. And then you'll have a shift, which is a scary shift because you'll have crazy House members, which is the craziest portion of the government, now having a bigger control. That's going to be a little bit creepy.
And imagine faced with the prospect of staring this crossroads in the face, in the House. In fact, look what happened. The one person or the one of five people that were trying to do the right thing were persecuted. And today, Gates from Florida decided to go all the way to her home place, stand on the steps of the whatever legislative building that's close to where she hails from, to go ahead and lambast her for what she did. Here we have Gates, a member of the House, in Cheney's Liz Cheney's area of Wyoming, basically actively tearing her down and ripping her to shreds. Meanwhile, the leader of his caucus is in Florida kissing the ring of Donald Trump.
Yep.
So we want this moral judgment day, and it's not coming. And it's hard to stick the shit that should be sticking on the shoes of these people and leave it sticking to their shoes enough for people to remember. But we're running at such a pace, and we're forgetting. I guess maybe we're, now that the breaking news isn't happening so much, and we're all sort of maybe processing a little bit of that, withdrawal of having to worry about the news, and other things are creeping into life again, which is very healthy and awesome. But I'm noticing is that maybe the denial machine that's been going on has been the ramification of the breaking news, that we can't hold on to every single outrage that we've had over 4 years. It just can't be done. If you put every single thing on simply just a little yellow Post-it note and put it on a bulletin board, you'd have 35 bulletin boards that are 20 pounds each by now. So there's no way to keep it in our front burner. And we've allowed so many outrageous moral things to just go by that we're so desensitized to it. We're desensitized from a lot of other reasons too, but just simply policy stuff. Just the fact that, hey man, are you on the side of the people that tried to kill our government just 3 weeks ago? Oh, we're past that.
Right.
We're going to move past that, dude. We just can't hold on to that
Give them a break.
Because we can't have unity if we don't.
Yeah, give them a break. Yeah.
I mean, that's like, the player beats the shit out of his girlfriend Saturday night, and Sunday morning, the football team's like, we got to move forward.
Yeah, we got a game to play.
Winning the game. So we got to come back and unite as a team.
Yeah.
With teamwork.
Blue Strat 91 said a little bit earlier on, we censured Steve King for spouting racist shit. If anyone's unfamiliar with the rules of trying to expel the House representative, the House, they need them. It's a super majority, 2/3. We're never going to get the 2/3. And so we're never going to get the accountability. There's never going to be a reckoning. The Republicans are never going to have a way or a moment to be able to say, we're different. We've changed. We're not doing this. We're not going to be the party of no science. We're not going to be the party of violence, of overthrowing, trying to overthrow government and everything else. And there's even people saying, actually, no, we need to protect Marjorie, because Marjorie, quote unquote, is the future party, the future star. Can you imagine that this woman who believes in QAnon, who thinks that Sandy Hook and what was it called? Parkland was a hoax, or what I'm not even going to say what she calls it, but she thinks that these were things just simply staged to undermine people's rights to firearms. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. It's just ironic, really, because Abraham Lincoln pretty much created helped create the Republican Party and give it legitimacy. I mean, he didn't create it, but he was the one that put it on the map and made it a political power player in American politics from the day he became president. From that time onwards, and they are completely going against everything that. Yeah.
I used my cup for coffee today as I was studying for the show, so I apologize.
Okay. But
Just a point of
yeah.
clarification. I think you said Cheney there your last time through, and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene who doesn't believe in Sandy Hook and all those shootings and such.
Oh, I said yeah. I'm talking about Marjorie and obviously Cheney, who we, this show's called America Heals, and if America doesn't heal, it does. This is what it does. It splits. It gets ugly, and if it's not sorted out by people around a legislative body trying to sort it out by talking, then the only other way to solve it is with bloodshed. And and I'm sure all you guys agree, of course, we certainly don't want it to get that far. But they won't turn around. There's so many opportunities for them to say, hey, this is a great moment to reinvent ourselves, to distance ourselves from this. And they just keep on, and they just keep on, and they just get let's buy more Q hats. No, let's get more Trump tattoos. Let's get further and further into crazy land. And it's like, no, let's not.
Well, okay.
Come back.
So when systems go through change, this is important to just think about this systems wise. When a family or a company or whatever, life, a person, when they go through a change, the habits that they live with, or the people who, I'll just talk about this in my church for a second, okay? Because it just gives a quick example. If I want to change a worship service of some sort, I want to change everything. I want to do it at a different time, and I want to do a different thing. There are 30 people who are upset with me because their job is to make sure that it doesn't change. Like, they're like, dude, what do you do? Like, we always do it this way. Now move that into the political structure. And so faithful nemesis to change is really, it's actually a positive thing that people are trying to do to hold on to something that they love. And so people doubling down on MAGA shouldn't surprise us. What we need to do is recognize that this is a country without a central mission, and a country without a plan and a goal that people can get behind, because they don't believe that they have any hope economically for the most part. People aren't either way. They're not looking. Some of them have gotten rich on Trump, but it's one grift after another because they don't have a large scale national pride anymore. And so they've got this heritage thing. So make America great again. I don't know exactly. And that's what's weird about that. That's like a coat hanger. I don't know what exactly each person is putting on that coat hanger, whether it's an idealism of grandpa, or an idealism of what my small town used to look like, or my old 1982 high school football team, or whatever the image was, that my old girlfriend, the last time I kissed a girl, was 35 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the folks that are just clinging to MAGA. And we have to recognize this as what I believe that it is. It's domestic terrorism, and the Homeland Security Department named it today that the activities of these groups are straight up domestic terrorists. And this means that this is a current action. So when Kevin McCarthy says what he says in support of one of these people who are still questioning and maintaining the big lie, they are siding with the current domestic terrorist groups that are living, breathing. And our media is not keeping this in real-time language. It's not on the ticker going, oh my God, there's terrorists. Well, let's find them all. There's none of that happening. So we are back to the original thing I said, we're back into enabling. We're just playing along. We don't want to say what crazy shit. I mean, I remember talking to my 76-year-old mother. This was about, September, August, she was like, "Tell me about QAnon," and I was like, "Well, Mom, these people think that Joe Biden drinks fucking children's blood, and that and then she's like, wait, what?" So we've got this disconnect of craziness where we got normal Republicans who didn't even know what QAnon is, and now they're looped into this because they don't know how else to be politically because they just know Hillary Clinton's terrible. And we've just got all this shit, man. And so like we need a mission and we need a vision through this thing. And right now the mission is fucking let's gear up with COVID and COVID vaccine and put machinery in place. Joe is empowering this country right now with a lot of Production Act items on the agenda that he is putting in place with executive orders, and it's not as sexy as these Trump fights have been, so we're not really paying as much attention. But he's dunking on the Republicans 10 times a day right now.
He's giving people health care. I mean, he literally gave people health care today with a stroke of a pen. And if anybody out there in the world goes, oh, those Democrats with their executive actions giving people health care, not for free, by the way, not for free. He gave them the ability to just buy health care. Just buy it. This is how ridiculous our government is and the Republican Party that Joe Biden in day what is he on? 7, 8,
7,
whatever. He's already done more to healthcare than the Republican Party has done in 4 years. In 4 years, they've done nothing. They've made it worse. During a pandemic, they've made it worse. And Joe Biden, in whatever amount of days, in under 2 weeks, has helped healthcare. He's expanded Obamacare, and all he has done is allowed people to put in their credit card and go, I want this plan at a reasonable rate. Oh no, those Democrats, it's Socialists. Ridiculous. This is what we're upset about.
Jeff, you got something here for is it Anderson Cooper?
This is the Marjorie Taylor Greene story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Let me get my mouse over there. You caught me.
I know. It's cool. I just scrolled down.
QAnon supporter Marjorie Taylor Greene. The K-Files, Andrew Krasinski shares a byline on the story, joins us now. So, Andrew, what more did you learn about the Congresswoman's views and comments?
So what we found was that Marjorie Greene in 2018 and 2019, and this is before she ran for Congress, she was a conservative commentator, posted on Facebook a lot. She repeatedly indicated that she supported executing Democratic members of Congress, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. There was a post in which, and this is really graphic stuff, somebody said a bullet to the head would be an easier way to remove Pelosi, and Greene liked that comment. She also repeatedly liked these comments about executing members of the FBI who she claimed were part of the deep state conspiracy against President Trump. And sort of the backdrop to this was she was leading this petition to impeach Pelosi, saying she was guilty of treason. And she gave many speeches in support of this. And in many of those actually also, suggested that Pelosi could be executed for treason. So there's just many of these comments.
And I think we just put it on the screen, but did you get a response from the Congresswoman or anyone in her office?
So the interesting thing about her response was we asked for comment, and then almost like 2 hours before we posted the story, they sent out a tweet, and she didn't deny that she had made any of the comments or liked any of the posts, but she said, over the years, I've had many people manage my posts, many have been shared. Some of them did not represent my views, especially the ones CNN is about to spread across the internet. So she was basically, didn't deny liking them, but said, I might not have. And again, at the time she was a conservative commentator. I think she ran a CrossFit gym. So it would be a little strange if other people were running her pages.
I mean, I was just reading that response there. It said, that they're coming after me because essentially they're trying to have socialism in America, and she's standing up again. I'm a threat to their goal of socialism, she says. I mean, the story is about comments, things she actually did, or at least were on her Facebook page, in which she seems to be happy about the idea of shooting Nancy Pelosi in the head or executing members of Congress. That's what this is about.
Well, and she also sort of suggested that it was us in her full comment coming out for her about stuff other people said. But in our story, she's on video suggesting that Pelosi could be executed for treason. So it's not just about a random comment on Facebook or things she liked on Facebook. It's about stuff she also said in video and put on Facebook.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's, said Q is a patriot. We know this. She's has an interesting past. Andrew Kaczynski, appreciate it.
Okay, but
Commercial.
So what now? Like, that's the thing about that video is like it's one thing to establish this, and then it's another to be like, okay, so how do we treat this person nationally? She doesn't get another question, like another person who is a respectable individual. You can't treat her the same way.
I mean, essentially, this is, I think, the only way. It's not going to happen, but the only way you can do something is you start calling your senators and your congresspeople and especially Republicans, say, if you don't do something about this, I'll never vote for you again. You have a race coming up. I'm never going to vote for you. You're going to get repercussions. This is not anybody that should be even in government. This is ridiculous. I don't understand. If we had someone in government that was telling people we didn't land on the moon. By the way, she's also a 9/11 denier as well. She's a conspiracy theorist for 9/11 as well. Parkland. I mean,
Parkland. There's a video of her chasing David Hogg.
Denier. She's she basically was making fun of a kid. The kid that survived in Parkland because he was trying to do some gun rights, not remove guns, just allow people to register their weapons or get just background.
Actually, though, I think I watched that video today where she follows Hogg down the street, or I think that's his name. Anyway,
spelled Hogg.
She's trying to become her own media darling. I mean, she is making a play. Like,
you won't defend yourself? Like, what does he have to defend himself to some lady chasing him around, yelling at him? Like, no one has to answer your damn questions.
Portfolio of her being this QAnon blonde. That's part of. I mean, she's one of the caricatures of the successful conservative woman.
She reminds me of Alex Jones she's Alex Jones with long hair.
Yeah. That's exactly. This is the problem, unfortunately, with social media. Is social media allows people an open platform, and the more people that watch them, that amount gets multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, and they become a media source essentially, because whatever they say becomes reality when she has 50,000 people watching her, and she could say whatever she wants. She doesn't have to back it up, and she plays it either way. She can go the normal way, which is not fun, or she can go the Alex Jones way, which is super radical, and people jump on it and watch it more and more and more and more during their pandemic, and that makes her a star. So the crazier she goes, the more reward she keeps on getting.
All right, so let's leave this inside of this discussion about her, and let's move to a secondary discussion, which is the same thing, but I want to get you guys in on this deal too. How is it that there is a discussion between the FBI and the DOJ about whether or not to charge every single person that was in the Capitol? Because I think this story about Green is the same story. How are our amoebic boundaries so fragile where we don't have the courage to just do every person who came into that Capitol, to me, was part of a mob that was seditious, that was organized, and that committed murder. And unless you come down hard on every single one of them, not people who got up on the scaffolding and didn't break the windows, Dude, if you were on the scaffolding of the Capitol,
Part of the
federal
riot.
crime, you should be doing time in a federal clink.
Right. It goes back to what I was speaking to at the beginning. You know, the country was divided about whether we want to recognize that everyone, all men are created equal, or that some people aren't counted as real American citizens. And, you know, we're going to divide states between free ones and non-free ones. If you're an African American person and you know that, you know, they're kneeling on our necks, they're shooting us in the back, they're heavy-handed, they're spraying us in the face and smashing us to pieces. And then, you know, a white crowd storms the Capitol building, and we're just thinking, should we really hold them all accountable? Maybe we should give them a freebie. That's ridiculous. We got to have the rule of law. We've got to, you know, there's supposed to be equal justice in the eyes of the law in this country. The whole point of the Constitution is that we don't have any dukes, we don't have any kings, we don't have any viscounts. We're all equal. We're all the same. No one is more special than anyone else. Ostensibly, I should be able to be tried equally with Bill Gates because he has more money, we should all be equal in the eyes of the law. I don't know how the hell the FBI could possibly be sitting there and debating whether or not to hold everyone accountable or not. Of course, they all have to be held accountable, for God's sake. And if you did something wrong during the riots during the summer or the demonstrations during the summer, and you broke the law, you should probably you should be held accountable too. Everyone should be held accountable for doing something wrong.
Are we saying everybody that was inside the Capitol or people that did something?
I couldn't believe that they didn't just sanction off or
they didn't.
Hey, none of you people are leaving without an FBI interview. Every single one of you.
Anyone that broke the threshold and entered the Capitol building's area knew exactly what the hell they were doing, knew exactly what the hell it meant.
And I wanted to put this out. Just real quick, I wanted to say, and I'm sorry, Luke, and I'm sorry, Jeff, but I'm going to do this real quick. Nate says, there's video evidence of a police officer welcoming them in. How can you throw someone in jail who's welcomed by security? And I get that, except in the March to Save America, which was where they were with Trump, they were marching, tear down, or, you know, march to break into the Capitol, kill Mike Pence. All this shit was being with Trump in front of the stage. Trump saying, go over there. And then Rudy saying, you know, trial by combat. And then they get over there and you're hearing in the crowd, large crowd yelling, kill Mike Pence, you know, break into the Capitol. This is our house. All the shit they were yelling. So I've been in rock shows. I've been at college games, pro games. I've been in all kinds of crowds that are rabid and crazy. And if I've ever been in a crowd where someone was chanting that, I would have stepped the fuck out of that crowd no matter what it was.
Right.
I mean, God, I hate to. I almost don't want. I don't want to agree.
Don't do it, Ace. Don't do it, Ace, because you get. Don't do it because you get yourself in a mess. Let me tell you why. They built. Hang on. They built a scaffolding.
Now I'll definitely
hung a freaking noose off the scaffolding.
No, I have to. I mean, I have to do it. It's just not because I call balls and strikes, and that's how I am. You might not like it.
This isn't a ball or a strike.
This is a ball and a strike. It's a maybe
Ace. Listen for once, Ace. Hang on a second, Ace. Just imagine for a second that they built a scaffolding. They built
gallows.
Let's say 10%. Let's say 50% of the people did, but there was a section of people that I saw a grandma walking up there. What are you going to do? You're going to charge her? I mean, there is a section of people you should charge them, but there's a difference between charging them with you're going to prison and giving them a misdemeanor. I think everybody should get a misdemeanor and there should be some felonies involved.
Everybody.
Because
that's charging everybody.
Strikes fair. There were things that happened during the summer. I saw a whole police station get burnt out. No one that was around that police station being burnt out They didn't tape them off. They didn't put them all to prison to be part of something, a federal building getting burnt down. We would then have to go and do the same thing.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do the right thing.
But then we have to go do the same thing.
Yes, we do. Yes. I did say about
federal capital.
I did say that 5 minutes ago.
There is no equivacy to the federal capital. We don't have another one.
It's a
the White House.
Government
the
building.
White House doesn't even count
no,
as much as the federal.
I think if you're burning down the police station,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There's no difference. Right now you're destroying yourself. You should stop. You should back up because you know very well. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. You know very well what was going on. It wasn't just a Sunday.
Not everybody. We can't get into everybody's heads. I think the FBI can.
Hang on a second. Hey,
can I interrupt?
Can
I interrupt for 1 second? You guys are both talking, so give me a second.
I know.
Bryce Michael Williams, 26 of Staples, was indicted by federal grand jury for conspiracy to commit arson. According to the indictment on May 28th, Williams was among hundreds of people who gathered around the police precinct in South Minneapolis. The crowd chanted, "Burn it down," etc. So the man who burnt down the police station in Minneapolis was charged with a crime. Now, I'd have to follow up where it went from there, but we need to stop and take a breath and realize there's a big difference also between setting fire to an empty police station and walking through a busted up door into a Capitol building after it was broken into. Even someone said the cops welcomed him in. I don't believe cops welcomed anyone in. If they had a busted door, people are surging, it's about to break, and they step back and pull the door in so it doesn't get ripped off and people walk past them. That nowhere in the world is that legal permission to enter a facility. The fact that the cop didn't fight until he was dead is not allowing entry. They knew they broke in. I think they should all be charged with something. And as far as I'm concerned, charge them all with felonies, sorted out later. I don't see any reason to give them light charges.
I agree they should be charged.
Put them all on probation. Make them so they can't leave their home state. Make some
misdemeanors out there.
I heard them say that they could, and I'm sure they can very easily. They go through Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, and whoever, and they can get absolutely every single person's phone number who was there, when they were there. And
one guy had his house arrest bracelet on with the GPS in it.
We could just have this happen.
Fine. You don't want to lock up grandma. That's fine. I'm just saying they have an ability to go into their past and look at their phones and see which part of the crazy were they. Were they the insurrectionists or people that were just part of a mob that did something really stupid? We shouldn't be putting those people in prison for 20 years.
So if all of a sudden one of our politicians gets taken out or some next terrorist attack happens, where will this conversation be at that point? Because that's what we have to understand is that until it's denounced, to me, it's a living threat.
Well,
that's where I worry about it.
Fix this tomorrow. You announce QAnon is a terrorist organization. As you announce that, which means you have two people in Congress that have now supported a terrorist organization, and they're going to be put in a position where they either denounce it and say, I am not part of that terrorist organization, or are they going to go on the side of saying, I don't agree with the Justice Department and this whole terrorist organization? That's what you have to do. And then you scare a whole bunch of people out of this QAnon, and you let normal grandmas and 24-year-olds that think it's cool to read about Democrats drinking blood, you scare them away because they're like, I'm not dealing with this shit. I'm not going to prison. And you be done with it.
Right.
Just be done with it.
Point of interest, real quick. Someone in the comments said, Luke loves to interrupt. I've known Ace for 20 years. He's one of my best friends. So he can handle it. And I only interrupt him because I wanted to save him, give him a chance to think about it before he jumps and dives in. Because there is a danger. Hang on, there is a danger of having an equivalency between storming the Capitol building of the United States of America as it is counting the Electoral College votes for the purpose of disrupting the outcome of a presidency and throwing rocks and bottles at a police station in fucking Minnesota. Okay, Minneapolis. So that's why I was like, I just like draw the line in the sand. You know what? are you sure you want to cross this
I'm
line?
not saying that
Because
they
it's a
shouldn't be-
very scary line to cross.
It's
But
not.
if
I don't
he wants
think
to do
it's
it,
that much of a line.
Ace is a big boy. He can handle it
I
himself.
am. I don't think it's that much of a line. I think that just
It's a
like
massive difference
like the
because
whole
one
statement-
undermines
Hold on.
the United States of America and one doesn't.
Hold on. I don't just like the statement where Trump goes, there are good people on both sides. That's a ridiculous statement. If you're walking next to a Nazi, you should leave. If I'm standing in the crowd and there's a whole bunch of Nazis, I go, oh, I'm part of a wrong crowd. I'm leaving. That is a ridiculous statement. And the same statement goes, if I'm in a crowd of people, and by the way, we didn't know those police officers were gone. They did not. And people start burning down the police station. I'm not the guy saying burn it down. I'm leaving because there's a federal crime happening and it's a serious thing. Same thing goes with these people there are people breaking in and they're going to go and walk inside the Capitol because it's the first time they've ever been to the Capitol. And I saw grandma being helped up and down the freaking stairs. And I don't know what to say, but we have to be fair to both sides. One is a federal building. The other one is a federal building.
Oh my God! You just said both sides. You just said both sides.
Or you treat
All right,
them fairly.
Jeff gets his time.
You can treat them fairly within the system. You don't have to give everybody.
I believe it's an outrageous claim to say Minneapolis police precinct is a federal building. I don't believe that's correct at all. I believe that's a city building. I believe that's a municipal building. It may be protected by certain laws. By the way, there were 4 people charged in the fire, and this is very interesting. A member of the Boogaloo Boys named Ivan Harrison Hunter from Bourne, Texas, 26-year-old, was also charged with the crime. He's accused of shooting 13 rounds from an AK-47 style rifle into the precinct while people were inside the building. So Minneapolis not only had 4 people with Molotov cocktails, there was a Boogaloo Boy right-wing person shooting rounds at the building. Right. So even the Minneapolis precinct wasn't only. No,
I'm not saying it's anything. I just say once you start burning down the police station, people.
I'm not ageist. Grandma wanted to go
I'm not part of this.
I think Grandma wanted to go insurrect. I'm not ageist. Charge her like everybody else.
Okay,
I don't care at all.
Grandma probably had a gun. Accept. Now, let's pull back for a second and recognize if that's the case, then this was also part of that team's physical attack against public entities. I mean, we're building a theme here. It isn't they've been at this where they want to blame all the craziness of the entire summer on Antifa, and that is simply not the case. They were at work. They've been charged with crimes. We've seen them in action in Minnesota. We've seen them enable the craziness in Kenosha. We've seen the things go down in various cities across the country. And so this is just another act of violence against the United States. Why can't we name that? Am I wrong?
Marty.
Yeah.
One of the tenets of this show, America Heals, one of the things that we all agreed on and that we were very proud of and are proud of is the idea that we hold everyone accountable, even if they're on our side. So we've said it before in previous shows. If a Democrat was found in trouble for doing something wrong, fire them. We don't care.
Yeah.
Throw them in jail. The difference between us and them is it's our guy, let's protect them. If it's their guy, hang them up. We're like, no, if you break a rule, if you do something wrong, everyone gets held accountable. And so holding on to that is what's most important, because at the end of the day, if someone wasn't arrested, in Minnesota, they should have been. Then they should have been. It doesn't mean, well, there was a guy that wasn't arrested in Minnesota, so therefore we don't have to arrest the guy that was in Washington. No, They both should have been arrested. They
should have been, but they weren't. They weren't because even the government understands that when you have a mob of people, that there are people more at fault than others, and it's a lot of people. There was over 100,000 people there. You're not going to arrest 100,000. It just makes. I don't know.
Why not?
It's one of those things that just I don't know why. Why didn't they just rope off everybody around Congress and arrest them all? They didn't.
I just want you to know that we had a civil war We had a civil war. We passed an amendment number 14. Everybody that had anything to do with the Civil War, every last goddamn one of them. It doesn't matter. I was just the mailman. Doesn't matter. I was just the messenger. I was just the drummer boy for the Confederacy. Doesn't matter. None of you get to be part of the be in the United States.
And by harboring that and giving them like a categorical license to some of us were worse than others. You're not going to get the ones who are really the smartest ones who we don't even know. I mean, they're underneath. They're the smartest. And
well, that's what I'm saying. You gotta.
Okay, so how far back? Let's play this game. How far back? If you're standing on those steps and you see, on the one hand, you're standing at the bottom of those Capitol steps, and on the one hand to your right, you see these guys over here beating the shit out of cops and pulling them down and beating the crap out of them with American flag. And on the other side, you got guys that are in the other doorway going back and forth, tug of war, boom, boom, boom. And in the meantime, you got people yelling, kill Nancy Pelosi and hang Mike Pence. And then off to the...
And they built a gallows.
To the other side of the Capitol, you see guys over there building the gallows that they brought with them because they've heard earlier this morning that you need to go by force and keeping democracy ain't going to happen by with peace.
They have combat helmets on. They're ready to rock. They got zip ties. Do you remember this? It's too bright. Remember this when this happened? They arrested on air and I was like, funnily enough, it was very early in the morning on the East Coast. So it was like 4 a.m. or something. They arrested Omar Jimenez, a CNN reporter, as he was reporting in Minnesota.
That's right.
You want to talk about exacting justice? This man is just a reporter. He has his press credentials. He's being filmed live on air by CNN, and they arrested the man. And this was a black man. Of course, it was a black man. And now we have a whole crowd of white guys storming Capitol, and we're like, well, he's okay and he's not okay, and she was old, and you've got to stop this. We've been doing it for too damn long, for 200 to 300 years. There's one person that's getting treated one way, and there's one person getting treated another way, and the difference is the color of their skin, and it's the optics are freaking terrible, and we gotta freaking stop it. I don't care what happens. We got to have a reckoning. People got to be held accountable.
And the very, very last phrase of the Trump presidency was delivered by Mike Pompeo on the very last day.
Yeah.
And what did he choose to denounce?
Multiculturalism.
Multiculturalism.
That it was a betrayal of American values.
It was authoritarianism in disguise, is what he said.
Awesome. Back to epistemology, Jeff. This is where this shit starts from, and it's literally what Lincoln was looking square in the eye as he went through the Dred Scott case and went through the exact problem that we're facing. We are a racial disparity nation, and what has been the threat in political science circles to the current systems is now exacting itself, and this is where we are. We were told many years ago, one day the white people aren't going to be the majority anymore. And we were like, oh, that'll be interesting times. And what has been the reaction by conservative white people to that piece of fact? They've been like, well, fuck this. We're going to do everything we can to hold on to our power, because even if there's less of us, we own a lot of the wealth. And so here we go. It happens in churches. It happens in communities. It happens in states. It's happening in our nation. It's a cultural issue. This country was built on slavery. Our theology was built with slaves afoot, and economic systems and capitalism that has led us down a road where we have a myth in this country that God blesses the winners and God hates the losers. Doesn't matter that isn't what it's taught in the Bible. It's what American cultural bullshit theology tells them. And so seeing Donald Trump with a gold set of curtains and a fake tan and watching lifestyles of the rich and famous allows some people to believe in the American dream. For the rest of us, we were stupid enough to believe in the American dream and actually go to work, raise a family, pay our taxes, play by the rules. And what did we find out? That we're financing a party for clowns that are in the political class, like Matt Gaetz and other Now, QAnon jackwits that are allowed to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and get jobs in lobbying companies as soon as they leave because all they're doing is playing along with the best grift in town. And I feel like an idiot for not playing along. I could do that really well. I could probably learn all there is to know about Q in about 10 days. And why don't I do a show on that?
They're just car salesmen, like really good car salesmen. They're just pumping out that product.
Well, and they have the advantage of pure cult piety that even when what they say doesn't come true, it's because everyone else is lying. So
right.
It's
right. You get the ultimate walk away. You're like, well, it's just.
I mean, honestly, do you really think that this Marjorie Greene would have been elected to anything if she didn't go super? You think she has a super, like, you think she has any bone in her body that would make her an AOC type of person, like educated or know anything about policy or anything? That's not her thing. She wouldn't be where she's at if she didn't do this.
Her version of freedom depends. Her version of freedom depends on the freedom to not have to learn, Ace.
Exactly. That's what she's selling you. She's selling you a much easier product to sell. That it's hate. Everybody lies to you. Everything you hear is a lie. And when I tell you something and it doesn't come true, it's because everybody else is lying. Everybody can sell that. And by the way, when she gets 50,000 likes, 60,000 views, then people go, oh, 60,000 people are watching. Now it's 70,000. Now it's 80,000. It's the same thing that's happening everywhere else. It's the same thing that's happening in stock market. We'll talk about everything. This is what happens when people jump on. They make something non-legitimate, legitimate based on crowds. The crowd size makes everything legitimate, and it's not. That's the problem.
So I want to lift that up, and let's move into that. But I want to say this, and I said this last time, that one of the reasons that we discussed in our last show about how many filibusters had begun to be used around the civil rights era and afterwards, and we talked about that a little bit. And we were talking about how people are using levers of government because government stopped working, right? And then now how many people have challenged the presidency's legitimacy has also increased because people are just like, well, what else can I do? I'm going to read the Constitution and I'm going to try to break it because I'm not feeling, what I'm getting at is people don't feel like their government works. And so in this last election, the QAnon crowd was able to argue their case and really say that democracy isn't our system. They really attacked democracy in general. You heard a lot of propaganda that said, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. I heard a lot of people say that. They've denied it. We the people won, etc. But I think that we're in a larger place where democracy and people's voices and people's franchise and the sovereignty of their decision-making abilities has been so disregarded that I want to say that the Dogecoin or the GameStop movement, while it's a radical outlier, and I think we can talk about that, I think there's also something about people saying, stick it to the man. I want a friggin' voice, and if we all band together, we can at least hurt this guy or that guy. And democracy seems to be showing up around the way. At the same time, fascism and totalitarianism is sexy to other people. Some of us are saying, fuck this. Let's make a change and let's do it together. That can be very bad too when you start to have overt fanatical democratic movements. They can become too radical. But thoughts on that? I thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, I'm thinking back similarly to Luke's connection to the South rising again. Like, how do you get these people to break out of their modus? I don't in America, I guess maybe someone can think of one that I'm not thinking of, but when was the last great reconciliation in the United States? Has there ever been a reconciliation movement of anything? I mean, we had the Trail of Tears, we had Jefferson raping his slaves, we had the Civil War, we had people tear down statues that erected in the 1960s and people acted like they were holy. I mean, we have never stopped and said this was effed up, we totally screwed up. So I mean, I guess I'm starting to realize I guess that's not going to happen this time. I mean, I hope that dethroning Trump and continuing press about how horrible he was, and maybe a divorce, maybe an eviction. I mean, call me mean, but I'd like to see him continue to fall and therefore, tarnish his reputation. But the truth is, as I've said before, QAnon will just make up that he was replaced with a double to destroy his reputation. I mean, they're not bound by truth. So I don't know if we'll ever get a reconciliation. I mean, I think these people, I don't think this green lady is going to suddenly, wake up one morning and go, you know what, I was totally wrong. I mean, even if their whole Republican Party changed their mind and squeezed her, she'd still be part of a resistance movement, right? I mean, I don't know how you get rid of these people.
We're going to see what she's going to do when people are now. Some of us have known about her for a while because we live in Georgia, and we've known that she's a nutbag a long time ago. But now that now that she's becoming kind of a media target, because now they go, holy crap, no one talked about this woman she brought up as a crazy QAnon lady. She's beyond crazy. Like, her concept that she's also a racist too. This isn't a shocker, by the way.
What?
Shocker.
Shocker.
Wait a sec, you're kidding me.
Yeah, she's also like a major racist. There's so much stuff about her talking about race and everything. She's a racist too.
So do you think that the coverage of her is a diversion from us talking about the other 100 plus? I mean, I wonder about that.
I would say that would make sense for the Republican Party if they just hand her on the platter and go, here, let's get rid of one, the others can go. But the Republican Party didn't do that. They promoted her and gave her a committee. They didn't have to give her a committee. Not only did they give her a committee, they also gave her $170,000 to pay off her debts. They paid for everything. Basically just told her, hey, can you keep a little bit cool? Be less crazy than all of us, which is a very low bar. For a while, let this blow over. That's all they said. That's all they did. And then that's what I'm interested in. At which point does she ramp up and then goes back to being crazy? She's not going to stop being crazy. This is how she gets more power, just like Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz outed himself a couple of months ago. He said, oh, when Twitter got rid of all these QAnon followers, like that 20,000 I lost. That means Matt Gaetz knew that his crazy got him 20,000 extra followers. And those 20,000 get doubled even more because more people follow you, the more you can get. So Matt Gaetz knows the game. That's why he's out there doing all this thing, because he wants to win re-election. And he knows that his town is where he runs from is a lot of these crazy people. Wins. I mean, she didn't win. She doesn't live in Atlanta, right? She lives in an itty-bitty town. They were interviewing people around her, asking that, how they feel about her. And they were like, well, we don't like the stuff she said, but she didn't say it when she was in power. She said it in the past, so it's okay now, that's their thing. This is a low bar that the Republicans have set. Democrats have a much higher bar. We've kicked people out for a lot less than that, but the Republicans won't do it.
All right, so let's put a flag in this right now on the 28th on a Thursday night, the 28th of January. And in the next 2 weeks, we are going to go from here until right before the Super Bowl. No, wait. Super Bowl is in like 9 days, 7 or 8 days. I don't even know what fucking day it is. Anyway, we're going to get there. And then after that, we're going to have a trial. Next week, we're going to be talking about this package that Joe is trying to push forward to try to get us, some COVID relief and get this thing just pushed through. And then we're going to have a trial. Where do these conversations go around the Congress people? Are we literally just doing shock jock radio and killing time until we're into the trial, and then we let these people vote?
I mean, I don't know. I think internally we all hope that they find a link. That's really what's going to blow this whole thing up. You need a link between. We know that the whole thing worked like this. There was a mob of people, and then inside of that mob, there were many reconnaissance, professionally trained terrorists, essentially. Not essential. There were terrorists inside that group doing the work. One of them is this Oath Keepers. That's an organization. They have a head, they have a leader, they have the whole shebang. Then you had the Proud Boys, another leader organization. He controls people. If you have a link between any of them and Congress, and one of these people gets indicted because they have a text message or something of going, "Hey, you guys are coming, your boys are coming out tomorrow," and there's more text messages. What if you find out that they paid for some? There's also money. A lot of these groups don't look like they're made out of cash. So somewhere there is money coming in somewhere on who flew these people out, how did they get there, who funds this stuff. And eventually the hope is there is a link, because Nancy Pelosi seems like she's betting on the fact that there's an actual link between one of these congresspersons or two or three and the insurgents.
Or a lot more, and the whole family. I mean,
yeah. And that's
the
the
thing we now know about this fifth meeting. If you haven't heard about
the fifth meeting is a problem. And the thing is, even if you have one, the Republican Party has a major issue, because they were essentially, they did have a terrorist sponsor of a terrorist group inside Congress, someone that was part of the coup. That's a huge deal.
The challenge is,
get that, I don't think you're going to get much.
You have two possible models. One is the president's words and Giuliani's words, and you have like a big stack of iron filings, and the president is a magnet, and everything's ramping up and heading towards that magnet. That's sort of where we are right now, right? That he was saying inflammatory things, and the crowd got rambunctious, and they attacked the Capitol. That model is one thing. But if you have a model where you have big chains being lifted by smaller chains actively pulling the whole mass towards the Capitol, that becomes a whole different thing. And so if there was anyone with the last name Trump or Stephen Miller or somebody, talk to Alex Jones or just any kind of direct communication, any senator, any rep, what you guys need to do is come in and push through this door or just come into the Capitol. If any of them told anyone to come into the Capitol, then things are going to start exploding very, very fast.
Yeah. Well, there's already been people that have come forward to say as much. They worked in conjunction with Congress people and concocted this entire event. And my hope is that at this trial, when they have this trial and they interview witnesses and they show videos, and apparently there are videos that we haven't seen yet. When you watch a police officer get his head caved in by a fire extinguisher, you tell me that was okay. You tell me that it was all right that this happened. You have the president of the United States saying, "So we're gonna go to the Capitol and we're gonna march there, and I'm with you." And you tell me that that's all right. How are you going to sit there and watch these videos that are going to be really tough to watch and say it's fine, that's okay? If you want to do that, let it be on your head. Let you be on the record for all time's sake. So we look back in the historical record and look back and see, oh, you saw that, you know what happened, and you said it was okay.
Can you put 18 Mile Creek?
That's my, yeah.
I'm just going to get in trouble again because I think I'm the only one here that agrees with this. Of course, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I agree, but this is a political move. You do the censure, because here's the thing: is you could do the censure now before the trial. What you need to do is you need to put the Republicans into a corner where they have to do two things. They have to either admit what Donald Trump did was wrong or admit it wasn't. The trial is not going to do it. I've been saying it the whole time. They have an out. It doesn't matter if you call their out bullshit. They have an out. They're going to put a scholar up there. As much as he's an asshole and he's all bullshit, he's a scholar. They'll have one scholar. He says this whole impeachment thing, this whole trial is not constitutional, and all of them will fall into line other than 5, and we get nothing. We don't get Republicans that voted on what Trump did was wrong, and we don't get Republicans that voted on no, it was not wrong. They will vote, and here's what they're going to have. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to stand up there. they're going to read a sad little speech, 30-second speech on how terrible the insurrection was, maybe even blaming Trump a little bit, and then they'll vote no, and we get nothing. Put a censure, and essentially I'll steal Mr. Clean's thing. You put a hit list out, an actual vote them out hit list. Let these Republicans vote and say, yes, it was wrong. No, it was not.
Yeah, I actually agree with having a censure, provided that there is something attached to it that says that Donald Trump can no longer be in office. It goes back to something we talked about 2 weeks ago. I was painting the scenario where you're teaching your kid, your daughter, whatever, about American history. We had a revolution, the Civil War, and there was the Great Depression, and then there was this moment where there was an insurrection. Oh, really? What did we do? We didn't do shit.
Right.
Really? So a president did a thing that we had this Nixon thing. Nixon's a joke. We all grew up thinking like Nixon did this thing. Watergate. It's huge. This is a walk in the park next to Watergate. We're really gonna have our history, our story be told, and it's like there was a president. He said, "We're gonna march on the Capitol." We marched on the Capitol. 5 people died. Oh, really? And then what happened next, Dad? We let him go. Really? That's the lesson? That can't be the lesson, because in 100 years' time, there may be another Trump. He may belong to the other party or a new party that comes on the horizon, and that maniac does something ridiculous. And they'll come back. They'll look at this moment in time. 100 years beforehand, in 2021, there was a president who incited a riot, and we didn't do shit. So we shouldn't do shit again. We can't have that. There has to be a reckoning. That's how we heal. We heal by saying this was wrong. We're calling it out. It was wrong. We shouldn't have done it. It shouldn't be allowed. And so the punishment is we're not going to throw him in jail. Fine. But he can't serve again. There has to be a thing to wrap up the story and close it out. And if that's with the censure, then so be it. But there has to be something to close the chapter on this footnote in American history.
And actually, it needs to be. This is where I think it's going to be, and why they're taking a week in between. It's not going to be any of. I mean, it's going to be some of that, but it's going to be so much more than that. What we're about to see is the narrative that's going to go into place. When Bill Clinton was impeached, we heard about that man's blowjob for so long that it drove itself not only into our deepest subconscious levels, but also just it was ad nauseum. What's about to occur? And this is what I was thinking is going to happen, and the Republicans are playing right into it. They're too stupid to figure it out because a lot of reasons. They're about to get married to the darkest narrative in American history. They're about to get married into a postmodern, nihilistic, evil, angry, leaderless mob rule picture that we're all going to see. And we're going to have names on it. And we're going to see it over and over and over and over again. And every single time that's happening it's not going to be quick. Every single time that happens, where they show something in the morning or in the early afternoon, and then it's showed 30 times over that night, we're going to be reminded of this thing. And everybody who's still on board, all the Republicans who are still too full of cowardice to quit this week, are forever going to be named with whatever pop culture names that. And that's not going to be named by the media. That's going to be named by pop culture. It's going to be named in music and in art and in history, because that's who judges truth. It's not the media currently who judges truth. It's history. And it will come out, and we will be able to tell our children what we did. And there's a real good chance that we're too corrupt to move forward. But I do believe that Joe Biden has been laying the track work in recognizing that he's just been saying one word, and it's a hard word, and it's a scary word. The word is truth. Let the truth come out.
And they better have witnesses on that stand. That's all I have to say. And we can
witnesses and evidence.
If they don't have witnesses, they're not trying to win. It's a bad idea not to have witnesses.
I agree.
You have to have witnesses.
Well, you would have witnesses, by the way.
Because if you don't have witnesses, then your whole complaint of the last impeachment is gone.
I
You
agree.
complained that the Republicans didn't give you witnesses. Then you held a trial and you didn't have witnesses.
We
And
need to
video
see Kevin
footage,
McCarthy on the stand. We need to
we
see
need that.
General Flynn on the stand, listening to him, watch him
It's
deny.
not happening. I'm telling you, they're not doing it for some reason. Either they're
Ace.
just holding off until last minute so the Republicans are not prepared, which would be a great play. But as of right now, it sounds like they're going to have video evidence. They're going to make this quick and snappy so they can move on. It is a terrible idea. You put Mitch McCarthy on the stand or let him run. You put Mathis on or whoever was there and let them run. And by the way, a lot of these people won't even run. Why would they? They don't. They were there. You put General Milley, that was probably right next to Trump when he got a phone call saying, "Hey, I need the National Guard," and Trump going, well, "I think my guys are pretty close to finishing this job." No, that's what he did. Like people need to
Bring
understand.
Raffensperger up.
The president of put him up. But the essential story that's the nail in this coffin is the president of the United States withheld the National Guard while watching how close his people are to taking over Congress. He helped them out.
Yeah,
that's all.
I don't think that, just a side note, that Ace, I don't think there's a trial if there's censure. Censure is just a vote. So we're gonna have to pick.
You can do both.
You've already. Well, I thought you said you didn't want to do the.
No, I say you do both. You censure him and then you put him in a trial, and that way the Republicans have already voted that he did something wrong.
I think it's one or the other. There's three levels. There's one before censure, reprimand. There's a censure, and there's an impeachment. That's not just for presidents; it's for judges. It's for House members. And the censure one doesn't give you what you want. If you're going to have a hard time telling them we're doing two things, I don't think you're going to have to pick one of the three. So if you want all the cool stuff that you're talking about, you're going to have to have an impeachment trial.
The reason we have to do this is because it's going to happen again if we don't. We have to deal with this.
Yeah. You start working on the censure now because you already know how the trial will end. After the trial, you put out a censure because you're going to have all these Republicans saying, "Oh, this vote is not against Donald Trump and blah, blah, blah. It's because of a procedural thing." And then you put them back in there and go, fine, it's a procedural.
Luke made a point. Luke made a point a couple of weeks ago. Luke made a point a couple of weeks ago that said and he's so right, if we don't deal with this, then every single president from now on, once they lose an election, can go full Hitler for 2.5 months.
Two options. Either I do a coup and I win and I stay in power, or I don't do a coup or I lose and I try again in 4 years. No problem. You could just keep on doing that. So in 4 years, he can win. He can he might not even have to win in 4 years. He could just run in 4 years and he could do another coup. Right. What's the difference?
That's what, maybe if they could make a deal where they vote, where they whip everyone before a vote and they can come up with a deal and say, okay, Mr. McConnell, how about it? We all we're going to do is just pass the thing that Donald Trump can't be president ever again. If you can sign on to that, then we can move on. But I don't care what it is. I don't really care. All I know is that there has to be something substantial to close this chapter.
If I am Liz Cheney, or if I am Mitt Romney, or if I am Mitch McConnell, I want there to be a trial so that I can stand opposed to Trump.
Exactly, because you're picking a political.
Yeah, Cheney. Yeah, she's not a senator, but she would. Probably,
I know, but I'm saying
she would probably be part of that force and wanting to see that, like you said. Sure,
I would want to clear my name for 5-10 years from now.
Of course, yeah, for sure, definitely. These guys are going to be.
None of them see that. None of these other guys see that.
I know, it's shocking. You're absolutely right. It will be history that judges. We're all wrapped up in the time right now. This is like 1858, like I was talking about for Lincoln. He lost that Senate race. The Republican Party had never had a candidate before. He lost. They actually booed him off the stage. Some people thought that his speech that I was quoting from was a bad speech. That it was, you're going to upset people with that. That's where we are right now. Now we look back at it and we're like, that was profound. This man stuck his thumb out and was like, he didn't care. He did the brave. He did the brave thing.
Right here. He made this statement that's on this gorgeous mug, and now you have Rick Gates or whatever the hell his name is, in her own state, campaigning against her. He's not even running. This is the speech. It made people uncomfortable because she spoke the truth.
She'll be fine for all history's sake, but I don't know what is going through the head of McCarthy and these others. It's madness. I guess back to a religious thing that you think of the greed of today. You don't think of salvation. You don't think of the fact that when you die, I forget the phrase. Marty probably knows. There's no pockets in your shawl, no pockets in your. What is it when someone died in biblical times? They wrapped you up in a bandage, and there were no pockets. And the idea is that when you die, you don't take anything with you. You've got nothing. So you shouldn't handcuff yourself to the fruit of earth and to possessions and to evil and to stupid ideas and everything else, because when you die, you can't take that with you. And these guys, for some reason, have decided, oh no, I'm going to handcuff myself to this. I'm going to, when they talk about Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, they'll be uttering these other idiots' names. And the governor of Alabama joined the civil rights movement, joined the 60s. This is whose names they will sit beside. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. They've ruined their legacy.
You have something, Ace?
Yeah, whenever I got this little.
Oh yeah, let's do this really quick. Let's talk about this. Where even is it now?
Here, this right here, everybody.
Back to democracy.
This is how the banks and the big guy completely screws the little guy. Even though what the little guy is doing is kind of dumb and is that thing that I talked about of making something a nothing, but this one is for a good reason. This is making something out of a nothing for a point. And their point was proven already. So if you don't know the story, basically, GameStop was like $4. It's a dying industry. Plus the pandemic, it's a dead industry. They're going to go out of bankrupt. You have a whole bunch of hedge fund companies that bought millions and millions and millions of dollars, maybe billions actually, of dollars, and shorted the stock. Basically, they bet that the company was going to go out of business. Then you have people on Reddit that basically started this whole thing and saying, you know what, we're going to screw the big guy. And they started buying the stock, and they started buying it and buying it and buying it. And the stock went up to $400, 300. Well, I think it was, crazy high. But here's where the big guy steps in. So what happens? You have these hedge fund companies losing millions and millions of dollars instantly because they bet on a $4 stock shorting and it's at 400. So what did they do? They got a bailout. They got a bailout from other billionaires. There's a trick, though. Something interesting happened. The bailout didn't just come with a nothing. It came with a security that this was going to happen. How so? The guy that bailed out the hedge fund companies happens to have a huge position in Robinhood. Robinhood has about 50 to 60% of these buyers. And what did Robinhood do? Surprisingly, the Robinhood stopped people from being able to buy this stock. They only allowed people to sell the stock. So
last night I tried to buy some of that stock, and it said, yes, Marty, tomorrow you'll be able to buy some Nokia stock. And then this morning my Robinhood account said, you are not allowed to buy this stock.
So
and
they crashed it.
Not allowed to buy it.
By 5 o'clock this evening, there was a class action lawsuit, right?
Yeah, this is the big guy doubling down. And by the way, now the big guy, because when they say they bailed them out, what they really did was they doubled down on the short. But they doubled down on the short at $350. And now that bailout, I think, of $1.5 billion is worth twice as much that. So the joke is on us. We're the joke. The little guy is the joke because the guys that bailed it out had a guarantee that the company that sold all the stock was not going to allow anybody to buy it, which means it would instantly fall. And I just gave you $1 billion, and now I have $2 billion. And we all get screwed.
Yep.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
Well,
and I've never seen this happen. This is
and the phenomenon of everyone being home, and over this time and having a little disposable income to have a Robinhood account and all the things have been sort of talked about today on a lot of different stations. We're not going to do that here, but this is a cultural phenomenon, and it's just getting shoved in our face.
And one more thing, and I'll make this one quick. This is the same thing, same subject. You have this guy. Anybody that knows about this guy, it's an interesting thing because this guy is a joke, and not as a joke as a coin.
It was literally a meme.
It's literally a joke. It was created as a joke against other coins. They did it for fun, and now this coin is at 6 cents. You could have bought this coin at 0.0002.
Currently, it's at 0.077, just FYI.
Oh, my God. So, basically, this coin is up.
It's up 623% today.
Look at this thing. I mean, and this is just a fake. But this is going to keep on going up because people are going to start flooding to this currency that's not real because no one can stop the trade like this just happened. And this crazy stuff is going to happen where people are going to own money in a non-real stock versus with GameStop, at the very least, you own money in a real thing.
And there's an element of stick it to the man in this thing.
Stick it to the man. Now, actually, surprisingly, the guy that created it as a joke left, and then his coin was picked up by another company. And surprisingly, the company actually made this a thing. So Dogecoin is actually a thing, and the concept is actually quite genius. I actually kind of like it. The concept is everybody would own a couple of Dogecoins or like a whole bunch of them because they're pennies.
Not Doggy coins?
Or Dogecoins.
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
Great. Thanks, Internet.
So basically, you would sign on to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. You would have an account with Doge, and then every time you did a like, that was one Dogecoin. That could be a penny. It could be 3 pennies, whatever it is at that time. And then the creators of the show would get directly paid cutting out the middleman, cutting out YouTube, cutting out Twitter. They would get a side hustle money without anything else. That way they're getting paid directly by their viewers versus sponsors that control the show. So the Dogecoin is actually quite a genius thing.
Wow.
It's still a joke, and this is what happens. This is a FU to the man.
Yep.
And I've never seen this happen. I mean, people.
Well, that's why I was saying earlier. This is where it seems like democracy, for better and for worse, is flaring up in different ways. Where people are like, "Damn it, I need a lever of power." And
then anywhere you go, you get stomped. There's a story that a guy made. He put $1,000 in. He was like a cook. He made $67,000 from GameStop. Someone else made a couple of $1,000, and everybody. And then you hear all these billionaires saying ridiculous stuff like, "Oh, people are sitting home using their government checks to invest. How dare they?" It's their money.
Right.
We can do whatever we want, and you don't even know if it's government checks. And guess what? If it is government checks, the only reason you're upset is because you're the hedge fund manager that was just betting on this poor company going out of business and making money as they go out of business, as GameStop employs thousands of people. When it goes out of business, there's going to be thousands of retail shops open, people that are not going to be, instead of helping them out, they're betting against them. And then when the same people on the other side decide to put in some money and make some money and make a point, you stop them.
Well, I think, and this is to clarify with some credence on the insurgency and some of the right-wing folks who aren't all the way into the QAnon, but they hate the government, they're pissed off at systems. Similarly to this, I think there's a democratic movement small d, I think there's a democratic movement across this country where people are literally sick and tired of not having and seeing any change. Our Congress is constipated. Our presidency is one extreme to the next, and people are tired of it. And so, in many ways, storming the castle or storming the Capitol, and politically is similar to the storming the castle of the economics. And I've heard a lot of different, sort of young TikTok guys that are talking about it, and they're like, "Man, this is so much better and so much more effective than Occupy Wall Street was for the same ends." It's smart, it's quick. You better be on the Reddit stream that tells you what's going on, otherwise you're going to miss it. It's a crazy time.
So this is when I'm going to put my burning hat on, and I do have a burning hat.
Yeah.
I just feel like I was watching CNBC, and it was it was CNBC, which is a purely money market orientated channel, and they had these two old guys, 70 years old, one like small little glasses and a bow tie, because of course he did, and then they're pontificate. I don't know. I don't have seen anything like this since the crisis of 1904. And the other was like, actually, it was 1908. No joke. These are the exact years. I think I think it's disastrous. It's a terrible thing, and someone needs to do something. And I'm like, oh, wait. What was that? You want regulation? Whatever happened to the motherfucking invisible hand?
Right.
Huh? And
Right.
I think it was Nate who said in the first hour, he said when here's Biden trying to like pass, make healthcare available to regular Americans, and they're like, oh no, that's socialist. But then it's like, oh, let's pass the tax cut for all the richest Americans. Oh yeah, well that's just fine. It's like socialism for the rich. This is when I have to like I grab my red flag, and I'm just like, what? This is ridiculous. These are pure, real market forces. Do you believe in capitalism or not?
Exactly.
What sounds to me that you don't. Sounds to me that you just believe in protecting yourselves. When otherwise, you guys are just, got your lip zipped, and all of a sudden you're all flustered, and you're bullying Robin Hood to stop any sales going through and everything else. Give me a freaking break.
And we're
They
finding out.
would
bring that invisible hand back for me.
They
Where's
want
that
to
invisible?
decide what the stock is worth when it helps them. Because they're going back, wait a minute, this stock is not worth $400. Why would it be? Because a lot of people bought it, so now it's worth $400. Tough cookies. That's how the stock market works the last time I checked. Just because you sit back and go, but it's not worth that much. This is ridiculous. And I put $1 billion saying this company was going to close down and fire everybody. How could this be? This is unfair. Hey, buddy, help me out. Okay, I'll help you out. Here's another $1 billion so I can make $2 billion, while I tell the company that I pretty much invest in, I'm a third of an investor, to stop allowing people to buy it so it won't go up and it guarantees a fall. So I make $1 billion overnight. Like,
Right.
if someone doesn't go to prison for this, they won't. Of course they won't. Why would they?
Right.
Well, yeah, I heard that argument today. There won't be people going to prison for this because there aren't laws for this.
No, I mean,
But this is something that unfortunately, this is one of those times where there just aren't laws written for this. We're in that gray area.
Deregulation is
like my wife always. This is a phrase my wife came up with. It's not. I don't know if I'm sure people have said something similar. It's like the invisible hand has suddenly become visible, and the sad part is that invisible hand we were always told was fair. It's not fair. It's literally catering to one end of the spectrum, and it's the one that's the wealthiest, and that's just not fair. It's not okay.
But I think that the piece that I think we have to recognize is that the reaction to this, because of social media, is people are ready to break things all the way. They're ready to break Wall Street. They're ready to break our economic system just to get the victory at this point, because you're right, man, it's not fair and everybody feels it. And so in one day, for literally 24 hours ago, we were talking about Nokia and GameStop and what was the other one that was on there? And now tonight we're on Dogecoin. People are reacting quickly. They're pissed. I mean, and I don't mean that they're like hot pissed. I mean, they're just like on edge. They're looking for the next thing because there are no levers, and if they see government continue, and that's why the impeachment thing is so important to me. We have to show a lever. We have to show this to the world as well, that our levers of government work, or we're in a really bad spot.
Yeah. We need, we just need truth and fairness.
Yep.
And justice. Come on.
Just truth.
It doesn't matter if we're talking about politics or economics or anything. Things just got to be balanced. That's why I love the center. I want things to be fair and balanced and equitable. And this is just ridiculous. You can't do that. And anyway,
should we take some questions or
we can take some questions. This has been kind of a heavy show, but I feel like we've made it through the last couple of weeks, and we kept putting off this to kind of be like, what the fuck are we really in? And we are really here now. We're post Biden being in place. We're post looking at the cabinet, all those things. It's like, all right, here's the sandwich, guys. So we can take some questions. Yeah. We can play the game if we want to. I'm sorry to kind of turn it in that way, but
we're post having members of Congress who believe openly in QAnon. What is this planet?
We're not actually post. That's still happening.
No, we're post like it's already happened. They're here now.
Chiefs.
There you go.
All right, Chiefs or Bucks, guys. Chiefs or Bucks.
All right.
There you go.
Chiefs Bucks. Let's talk about this game.
All right, Tell me about Ace. Chiefs or Bucks.
You can't bet.
This is an opinion show. If there are any recommendations made, we're not going to recommend them to you. You do what you want on your own, but we may speak about our own opinions.
Right? No.
And we'll talk badly about you behind your back.
Every single time you bet against this guy, I don't even like Tom Brady, but I respect them because I don't like people that we wait until these stars, once in a lifetime stars, leave, and then we start appreciating them. And if you don't appreciate Tom Brady and everything he's done, it's ridiculous. You don't love football. And the fact is, there's a stat, I don't have it on me, but if you separate Brady's years in half, both of those quarterbacks are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Not only that, both of those quarterbacks would be like close to being GOAT status anyways. Just split his thing in half and go first 10 years, second 10 years. They're both Hall of Fame. That's how impressive this person is. So betting against him is very hard. He also has a good luck factor. He gets very lucky in these things, which does work in sports. He gets breaks and he capitalizes on his breaks every single time. So I can't bet against him. I would say Bucks.
What about you, Jeff?
Mahomes was in kindergarten when Brady got his first Super Bowl. So I'm going to go with Mahomes. I also cannot stand Brady. He's not quite as bad as Tim Tebow, but there's just too much goodness in one person that makes me insanely angry at him. Not to mention all the cheating in the past. And it's time for him to go ahead and fully retire. Also, I will say, if you've watched the Chiefs much at all, they have a lot of the same characteristics of the Royals that went on to the World Series. They're never far enough behind. It's never too late. And that's the way Brady plays also. So I think there's a real chance this turns into kind of a steeplechase game. But Mahomes just will not lose. I mean, Mahomes just always has that other touchdown. Again, Brady does too. So, you kind of have two very similar layouts there, and they found a lot of talent to help Brady, but I got to go with my Chiefs. I mean, come on. I was, lived in Kansas City from 11 to 30. I can't go against my boys.
That's weird. Donald Trump told me Kansas City was in Kansas. But...
Yeah, he's wrong.
What do you think, Marty?
I'm always in football. I'm always a defensive line guy, and this is going to be a defensive line extraordinaire on both sides of the ball. But I think Kansas City's defensive line will control the line of scrimmage, and I think they'll get Brady a few times. And so I'm going to go with Kansas City because I think Super Bowls always end up with big defensive.
They lost their defensive lineman star. He's gone.
I know they did, but they've still got plenty of weapons.
So, just want to give you a heads up.
I know that.
So my perspective is, a little bit different. Maybe, I do watch NFL football, but obviously I think the United States in the early 90s. When I arrived here, I was quick to be able to get into basketball, and at that time, that was when Michael Jordan was tearing up basketball and revolution and becoming a staple. And there's, in other sports that I like, Formula One with Michael Schumacher, when you have a phenomenon, you feel honored to kind of see it happen. And this guy, this Tom Brady guy, who keeps going back, keeps coming from behind, and now he quits that team and goes to another team, and sure enough, he's back again. There's just something magical about watching one of the greatest play. I guess I'm going to go with the Bucks. Jeff's going to get upset about that probably. But
you guys all root for the 49ers like their 6th, 7th, and 8th Super Bowl in a row or whatever. I mean, you guys are killing me. Who roots for the dynasty? You guys are killing me.
I'm just saying that it's. I mean, I got good reasons.
We all like the dynasty. No, we don't. No one likes the dynasty.
I actually like the Chiefs. I love the way the Chiefs. If I could pick, if it was anyone else, I would pick the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a much better team. The schematics are way better. They're much more fun to watch. But I can't bet against Brady. I bet against them this time around. I thought Green Bay was going to destroy
on the Brady thing. I can handle Marty with too. But this guy is the Manchester United fan of this conversation.
No, hang on a second.
Hang on.
No. Hang on a second.
You really are Man City, but you're acting like
no. He really is. Hang on a second. So I literally premised my whole thing around Tom Brady, not the team. And there's a reason why I would not want the Bucks to win, because funnily enough, I don't know if you realized this. Funny you said that, Jeff, but the Bucks is owned. The owners of the Bucks are the owners of Manchester United. Okay.
See?
But I also have a bone to pick with the Chiefs, and that is, and Ace will back me up on this one. Yeah, I've been here for 20 years. And I wasn't born here, so I had to pick a team. And when I picked a team, when I first came here and I was loyal to that team from the start, it was the San Diego Chargers. And being a San Diego Chargers fan puts me 100% at odds with the Chiefs. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Darren Sproles was a K-Stater. I'm a semi-Chargers fan.
I loved Junior Seau and those Chargers, man.
Chargers are fine. As long as you're not a Raiders fan, I really don't care. I'm not that tough on division rivals.
They're the Raiders.
It's a fun time to be in Broncos country because, ouch.
Anyone that doesn't know about the English league, Man U is basically the Dallas Cowboys of English football. So
they're the New York Yankees. They've won it.
The New York Yankees.
Than anyone else. Yeah,
it's probably better analogy. Spend all the money, win all the games, drive everybody crazy.
Ace, when you answered that question, by the way, just FYI, you answered it, I think, this is a made-up count, but something like 13 times about who you would bet on. The line is 3.5.
See, if it's 3.5
plus for the Buccaneers.
Patriots, did you hear? See,
sorry.
If it's 3.5, it was 3 at 3.
But yeah,
3.5.
My boy Pringle is from Florida. That's a home game for Pringle. Just saying. One of our receivers is from Florida. I mean, none of these guys are from where their jerseys say home game is all about the fans. In the Super Bowl, the fans come from everywhere. So the home field advantage drops way off. There's a lot of things those odds makers aren't putting together, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, no, it's minus 3.5 for. I mean, the Chiefs are the favorite.
Chiefs are the favorite by 3.5.
And they're they're a plus field goal favorite. So I would not betting the Chiefs. It would be is much harder. 3, I can agree with betting the Chiefs.
Fair.
But at 3.5, that means you're talking about they're going to have to beat them by more than a field goal. That's not a close. That's a little bit
with an over under. I don't know where it's at now. The other day it was at 56.
Bet the over.
I don't have the whole season.
I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Both of these teams score high. They have, and I think eventually one of these teams might go into a race. They're going to be like. Also, the problem with both of the thing about both of these teams, they're quick scoring teams.
They are
quick scoring teams with they score quickly and the defense gets on. They're tired. So I think I would bet the over more than I would bet the team. If you're going to bet the team, the Bucks are a much better bet.
Because I'm the color guy on this show, I'm going to give you guys some John Madden guesses.
the team with the most turnovers is going to have a real hard time winning this game. I'll tell you that right now. The team with the most turnovers, real problem. And whoever gets the most penalties, it's going to be really hard to come back from that.
And
so turnovers and penalties will
great
be
analysis. Great
Oh,
analysis.
Jeff is absolutely right. But this
Every
is where
game,
the Brady factor comes in. Brady went into Green Bay in the winter with 3 turnovers and won the game.
Yeah.
Impressive.
You're right.
Winner.
He was born in 1977. Think about that. It's incredible. Incredible.
I'm saying this as a diehard Falcons fan. I have blow up Falcons figurines that I blow up.
He does,
when they
by the
play.
way.
I don't do
This
it
man,
anymore.
this man loves the Falcons. Like,
But
it's
it
kind of
literally
scary.
broke my heart. I saw it broken. I haven't been the same with football.
I was watching that Super Bowl with Ace when it happened. I can tell you, when the game was over, I didn't stay. I just walked out of his house. I didn't speak.
There's no way to
Because
deal
I
with
didn't
that
want.
game.
I didn't want to get murdered that day.
There were
The whole country
people
felt
in my
the same way.
house.
You're
There's
all
6
like,
people
yeah,
in my house, and I just walked away. I went upstairs and I was like, I don't even care. I just
Turn
went.
that
I
game
just
off.
let, and
Yeah.
everybody just
It was
left.
over.
I couldn't do it, and I
I'm finished.
still.
Yeah.
That's it. I couldn't do it. It broke my heart. I'm immune. The Falcons are immune
For the
rest
next
of my
week,
life.
he just stayed in his house, closed all the curtains, and it was just in the dark.
It was a dark.
The guy-
place,
The
and
guy was in a dark place.
Fetal position on a chair by himself.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very true.
but he
that's-
always
I mean,
gets lucky. I mean, all we had to do was kick a field goal, a 25-yard field goal, and they decided to throw a ball and lose the game.
Yeah.
And then there was like 15 other things that could have happened. We would have won. But Brady always gets something to go his way, and he wins these games. And I can't bet against him.
like
Three and a half.
the other team's calls or something, you know,
It's like it's like he sold
Almost
his
did.
soul.
which he did. I mean, you know, I don't.
Score off the halftime was what,
Uh-oh.
30 something to 7. It was what was the score at halftime, Ace?
No,
What?
Why are you gonna do it like that to me?
He's
Sorry,
got
buddy.
PTSD. Don't ask him stuff like that.
Why are you gonna remind me of the score like that?
It's like
I'm
asking,
gonna cry it out.
it's like
God,
asking
I
about
think-
the
you
village
know
you
what? At the very least, I think we can all agree this is one of the Super Bowls that has actually been quite exciting for a change that we're all kind of looking forward to.
Yeah,
The past,
definitely.
the past ones, it was so don't care about you, care about you. How do I pick? Now it's like Brady, but it's cool if the
Brady
Chiefs won
home
too.
game? Come on, Brady cheated.
Alright.
We all know Brady cheated to get a home game. I don't know how he did it, but he
I don't know.
cheated to
He
get a home
stole-
ever. How would you get the first
Never
one ever?
happened.
We're what, like
You know-
60,
you know-
whatever? What are we up to? 60?
Well,
I think it was the Dominion machines, Jeff.
it was
There's
the
been
Dominion.
50.
Dominion.
There will have been 55
55.
Super Bowls, and he's been in 10 of them.
But this is the first Super Bowl ever that
I know.
that the home team's playing. I mean, that come on,
I know.
bullshit. It's rigged. It's rigged.
It's rigged.
Oh, whoa!
Craft, hand job. We'll
Whoa.
make up the rest of
Whoa.
it together.
Yeah.
Let's ask
Too,
Chief. Let's ask
you
Chief.
know, keeping an eye on which massage parlors are
Man,
utilized.
Zach's getting mean in the comments, by the way. He's always been so level-headed. He's after the Chiefs, I'll tell you what.
Oh no, I think Zach believes that Pete Buttigieg stole the primary from.
Don't
Right.
do that. Don't do that. Don't start riling me up on. First you do the Falcons. Now you're throwing out a Pete Buttigieg bomb over here. Come on.
Yeah,
This is
that's right.
Pete-
Let's not bring
Pete-
Pete into it.
Too late. This is wild. Here we go.
All
This
right.
is a mean-spirited football
Cobra
show.
Kaiing it up.
I love to
Yes.
rile up Ace.
All right.
Let's
pretty
do it. Let's Cobra Kai and then wrap this thing up. It's been a heavy show. Thank you all for being with us. This is not something that we do just to lament. It's actually more than that. We're really, if we don't do this, nobody else is doing this on any other show. So please like and subscribe and share and all the stuff you got to do to connect with us, with your audience, with your friends, with your pastor. Please forward this to your pastor. They need to be involved in this. They need to hear what's going on. Your doctor, your lawyer, your dentist,
Your yoga instructor.
your yoga instructor. Yeah, bring them in on this deal.
Yeah.
Your taxi cab driver, your boss. There
Nice
you go.
boss, yeah.
Nice.
Let me know when you can see it because I can't see you guys.
We're here. I'm just yapping. But no, I really appreciate everybody being in on
Thank
this.
you guys.
It's a lot of fun.
Everybody, please share.
Bo
Cobra
Show.
Kaiing it up.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Cobra Kai or Bad Guy. Oh my god!
Oh wow.
I updated it this time around. Here
Wow.
we go.
Yes.
So
You put Cobra Kia, but it's all good.
Cobra Kia or Bad Kai.
oh shoot.
Cobra Kai or
I
Bad Kai.
think it was that way last time.
I think I may have
Here we
done
go.
that anyways.
No,
That
we
was-
did it. We did it for copyright reasons.
I'm gonna
It's
fix
cool.
that. So this is before we start. I just wanted to show you why we play this game. Everybody on this list, we're gonna pick the different. Some of these people are actors in the show Cobra Kai, and some of these are bad Kais or Kias. This is why they are on this list because they were part of one of these votes. They were either part of the Arizona vote, that was a vote to throw out over 3 million votes, or the Georgia vote, that was a vote to throw out over 4 million votes. Michigan, close to a 6. Nevada, 1.3. Pennsylvania, 6.8 million votes. Wisconsin, 3.2 million. Or they were part of the America's Brief, which was 6.8 million votes to be thrown out. This is why they are the bad guy or the bad Kai. So here we go.
Based on zero evidence as well.
Yes.
The button's right. You got rid of the Kia. The Kia's only in the title.
All right, here we go.
Sean
Kanan.
So does anybody want a hint or does anybody want to lock in their vote?
I
He
want
is
to
a
lock.
bad guy.
I'm going Cobra.
You're going
Cobra.
Cobra,
I'm going Cobra Kai.
Cobra, and
Bad guy.
You're going bad. You locked it in. Here's a
I'm
hint.
locked it in.
Here's what this guy looks like. Here we go.
Uh-oh. I feel like I'm in trouble.
Dang it.
He's a Cobra Kai. And I did put his name in the show. That was
All right, there we go. All right.
All right, everybody. Jeff, can you please do the score?
I am. I assume it's 1 point per.
I got to do that. I got to get
At
lit.
1 point.
Is there an early lock in? Is it 2 points for early lock in before the
Early
picture?
lock in 2 points.
Okay, we got 2
Need
points.
help, 1 point. Here we
So
go.
am I -2 then? Is that how this
You're
works?
Negative
zero.
2. That's-
Oh, he's -2.
yeah.
No, it's 0, 0, 0.
No, he's
Is it
negative.
No, I'm -2.
No.
I think we got
Negative
Oh,
is
wow.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Here we go. Jim
Okay.
Banks.
I might owe points.
Does anybody want to lock this in? Jim Banks.
Dude, I know. I need a hint. I'm playing from behind.
I'll
Okay.
go
Marty
bad
wants
guy.
to hit.
I'm going bad guy.
I'm gonna
Bad
say bad guy.
Lock it in.
Bad guy.
Here we go. He looks like this.
Bad
Marty,
guy.
That's a bad guy. Bad
Bad
guy.
guy. I called
Everybody
it early.
said Bad Kai.
Boo!
He
Nice.
sounds like Marty when he says
4.
that.
That sounds like me. Wow.
He is Indiana's 3rd district.
I'm doing running score this time since we're doing negatives.
Boo! Yeah, I sound just like that
I
guy.
don't want to add it at the
Here.
end.
Here's the next guy, Jim Bird.
Baird. I think so. I worked with the guy with that last name. He said Baird.
Bad.
Jim
I'm
Baird.
I want to say bad guy.
Bad
Bad
guy.
guy. Jeff.
I'll jump in bad guy. I mean, I
I
Bad
want to
guy.
get 1 point. I want 1 point here.
Bad guy.
Here's a hint. Looks like this.
He's a bad guy.
that's
Bad-
definitely got to be bad guy.
Oh,
Bad guy.
The
okay.
surprise
Here we
Cobra
go.
Kai?
He's a
Are these
liar.
writers? Did you throw in a right?
Yeah,
Yes.
boy. Look at him. He's from Indiana.
4th district.
You know
It
what I
goes
see? Now
two-
let's slow down here.
266.
Hold on.
You know what I see with this poor guy? Like a lot of Republicans, I see a guy with questionable morals. He's caught in a situation where he's followed a president down a trail of disaster, tyranny, infamy, and here he is, probably going to church on Sunday, probably talking to somebody about Jesus, and yet look at those rosy red cheeks. That guy drinks himself to sleep at night because, well, his name's Jim Baird. He's from Indiana, and he's a member of the House. House 4.
Here we go.
Wow.
I'm going there, dude. I'm going there.
Oh,
I don't care. anymore.
Okay.
Robin,
Cobra Kai.
Robin,
Cobra Kai.
I'm going Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I'll go Cobra.
Cobra Kai.
I go back to
looks
0.
like this.
Oh yeah.
I think that's yes.
She is Cobra Kai.
Sweet.
That one was easier because her last name is Lively, and she is her sister.
She is Brian
Babin.
Robin.
Babin.
I'm gonna go with
Marty.
Cobra Kai.
I need a
Yeah,
hint.
Cobra.
I'm gonna go bad guy.
Jody's doing him,
I'm Cobra Kai.
and
I'm gonna need a hint.
Cobra Kai.
Jeff.
I went bad guy. So
Okay,
Luke and I are
here we go.
opposed, and Marty's waiting.
Oh no, I screwed that up.
Ah,
Marty
Why?
gets the point because he looks like this.
Marty
and
gets the point. Okay.
I would have got that right.
Yeah, you would have gotten that. He looks like this. Sorry,
All right.
wrong.
Luke went down 2. So it's 5 to 10 to 6.
Mount my comeback here.
Rose
Bold statements.
Bianco,
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, Jeff.
I'm going Cobra.
Cobra.
Oof.
Looks like this.
Uh-oh.
Aha!
Uh-oh.
It's Cobra. It's Cobra.
Okay, here
It's
we go.
Cobra.
You already locked it in.
Yeah.
That was 3 for 3.
Love it.
Nice. Here we go.
I like that. Hoo-ah!
Wah! Dan Adut.
Dan a dude.
And the dude.
A dude.
That's got to be Cobra Kai.
I'm gonna say bad guy, and I'm sticking with it.
I'm going Cobra
sticking
too.
with it.
I'm gonna go
Cobra.
with Luke.
Cobra, bad. Looks like this.
It's Cobra.
Oh shit.
No!
I recognize his face. I didn't know his name, but I recognize his face.
Here we go. Rick Allen.
Allen.
Ooh.
It's a tough one.
Boy, that could be anything. That could be a
I know.
podiatrist.
You
I
can
mean, I gotta go with points. I gotta say bad guy because I'm so far
Bad.
behind.
I'm gonna
Luke, you wanna-
say Cobra.
Cobra.
I'm gonna say bad.
Okay, here's a hint. You guys already locked it in. He looks like this.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Here we
Feeling
go.
bad. Feeling bad guy.
I'm
Kansas.
feeling bad guy.
Kansas.
Kansas.
First district of
I
Kansas.
didn't know that. So Marty, you got that one wrong. Is that right?
No, I got that
Yeah.
right.
He got that right.
Thanks.
I got it wrong. Jeff.
Oh, you got it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. 7 to 16 to 8.
This
You
game
guys
is
are playing for
rigged.
second.
This game is rigged. It's not fair. Okay,
Oh,
Paul Walker.
I'm gonna say Cobra Kai, and I'm gonna stick
Cobra
with it.
Kai.
I'm going bad guy with the 3 names.
Bad.
I'm going Cobra Kai.
He looks
Ooh.
like this.
Yes,
Cobra
That's
Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Yes.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
That's
All
the
right.
guy. He also is he's in Black Klansman.
9,
Yeah, he's also in that Georgia.
14, 10.
Here we go.
Any Republicans out there? You probably watch Black Klansman. Anyway.
Jody Arrington.
Arrington. Jody Arrington.
Bad guy.
Marty,
Bad guy.
bad. Jeff,
I'm gonna go with Cobra.
Cobra. Luke,
Cobra.
looks like this.
Oh, that was
Uh-oh.
good.
Uh-oh.
It's a good
That
looking
looks-
man.
That looks like a bad guy.
Oh,
That looks like a guy. Just a second, real quick. That looks like a guy who voted to ignore sedition. That looked like a guy who, when faced with hearing people say "hang Mike Pence," he said, "You know what? We're going to go ahead with this anyway."
And in
He
fact,
looks like the kind of
in
guy that
fact,
like.
Marty is right. This guy
We'll
voted
do it live.
he voted for both Arizona and Pennsylvania.
That guy's the kind of guy who goes to church every Sunday and thinks he should make decisions for women. That's my guess.
That's that guy.
Absolutely. That's also a guy who just doesn't want to wear a mask.
That's it.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Squeaker. 11 to 12 to 8.
Oh,
A
That
new
was
and updated.
And I knew none of those. I
now
reckon
wait a minute. The guy keeping score wins. That's a rigged election.
That's rigged. Rigged.
That's
Look
rigged.
at look at
What is
look
he,
at that.
the Dominion?
Wait. Look at that Dominion notepad right there.
What kind of lighting is going on over
I
there?
put it all through my spreadsheets that Dominion gave me.
Yeah, and then Miss. Oh, look at that.
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you one of these people that has a degree in engineering that includes science?
Science. Science. Oh, you got bad news. The engineer, I believe in the engineering method, which is like the scientific method. So get ready. Get ready.
Is your laptop guy blind and lives in New Jersey?
Yes.
He was using Hunter Biden's laptop to make his spreadsheet.
And I don't delete any personal information off my laptops before I have someone work on them. I just carry them in there. I actually take my checkbook and I put it inside, then shut it, and then take it to the computer guy.
And then
My-
the checkbook on the memo, you said
Wedding license, birth
money
certificate.
from China to Pops.
I figured the computer repair guy needs my social security card, so I just put that in there. Here you go, social security card. Put that in there.
Yeah, take a picture of it.
Yeah,
We should play a game sometime. We should play a game sometime where it's like, if you were to happen upon this, would you take it to the FBI or would you take it to Rudy? Like, which one would you take it to?
Choose your own political adventure.
Like, yeah, like you find something incriminating. Do you take it to the FBI or do you take it to Rudy Giuliani? I'm gonna go with Rudy.
Or do you take it to Sean Hannity?
Since we just said Cobra Kai or bad guy, the only thing I would take to either Hannity or Giuliani would be a live Cobra. I wouldn't be taking any evidence of any type to either of those two people.
Which actually happens in
Non-poisonous. Non-poisonous, everybody. I'm not threatening anybody.
non-poisonous. Yeah.
There's a Cobra in the scene. They put a Cobra in Daniel's car dealership.
House.
It's
yeah.
topical.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, so you got something else for us before we wrap this up? Or?
You said something about a picture in it. Great quick transition to this. And me and Luke gave a warning to everybody that this was going to happen. This is why you need to vote, because the Republicans are getting ready to steal Georgia.
Oh, yes.
If you haven't heard
This is
it,
ridiculous.
this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The Republicans are making a law. In the law, first of all, let me scroll down. This is everything they're going to get rid of right here. So if you could see that. So they're going to get rid of this. It's going to require so basically, here's how the law is going to work. In order for you to get an absentee ballot, you have to first get approved to take it. They're getting rid of no excuse ballots. If you have an excuse, then you have to download a copy of a sheet. You have to, which asks for the ballot. You have to take a copy of a photocopy of your driver license and send it in, at which point a panel will look at that and see if everything you filled out is correctly. And one of the guidelines, I actually looked at the law and I have pictures of it, but trust me, it actually says that if the copy is not legible well enough, it goes to a different pile that they'll address later. Then they're going to send you a ballot and you have to do it again. You have to put your driver license, a picture of your driver license in again. And then to just double down, just to make sure, they're also adding a new envelope. So if you put your ballot and your picture in the first envelope and you don't use the second envelope, gone. Now there's two envelopes as well. And just make sure your grandma that's going to be asking for these ballots, hope she has a printer, a copier.
Right.
Because she essentially won't be able to vote in Georgia. This is
right.
how the Republicans steal it.
Yeah. And you have to do a handstand and sing the national anthem backwards, and then you can vote. It's ridiculous. Look at this thing. Eliminate mobile voting buses, ban absentee ballot drop boxes, forbid government and organizations from mailing absentee ballots. It's what a load of bollocks. These guys. I mean, if you have to win the election by basically making it impossible to vote, then what does it say about your platform? You can't get anyone to subscribe to your ideas, so you just take them out by the ankles. So
and since when is a photocopy? So, like in my state, you have to put your driver's license number, which ensures that you have a valid driver's license. What does a photocopy of your ID prove? That you're still in possession of your photo ID?
No, there's exactly. They're not even lying about it anymore. They're just like, oh, you know what we're doing, right? They know what they're doing.
I can guarantee you right now, if your driver's license, this is the bad part. When your driver's license comes in, your photocopy of the driver's license comes in, which obviously has your address, and it shows that you live in Fulton County, suddenly they're going to be like, oh, I can't read it, sorry, and they'll deny it. If your photocopy comes from like White County in northern Georgia, then they'll be like, oh yeah, that looks great. And so it's just a way to filter out votes.
So here's part of. I actually read the whole thing. I don't know why. I don't know.
He has a really exciting life.
So I read this and I took pictures of it, and it has stuff like this where it tells you how to You got to do the envelope, such as enclose it in the outer envelope in addition, but not to the ballot envelope, and a photocopy of one of your forms identifying specific in the other thing that we wrote that has a whole bunch of rules on how you do it. And then such envelopes should be securely sealed. This is basically no more absentee ballots in Georgia if they pass this, because they'll just throw it out like there's no tomorrow.
And this is why this is why we're going to end up in another fight, which is going to be federal legislation on voting rights. I mean, these things are coming.
The only good news is they go through all this. All they'll do next time with COVID gone is they'll just mobilize early vote, because we all know what happens is the precincts that all the Democrats vote in, they don't have enough machines. The lines are around the block, blah blah blah. So all these people will just switch to early voting in person. I mean, it'll just shift from one thing to another. I think Georgians are motivated. I don't think it's going to cut any votes. I think it's just a way for them to look terrible.
Well, I'll tell you, you're absolutely right. But this next 2022, yes, is the most important for Georgia, because we have a governor race, and that's going to be the most important. If we can lock up that governor race with Stacey Abrams, then we're good. It's going to be a blue state for quite a while. If they get a Republican in, which is going to be a real Trumpster, because we know who it is.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? Luke, what's his name?
Which one?
The governor that's going to run. We know him. He's a Trumpster in Georgia.
Oh, Collins.
Yeah. So Collins is going to run for governor. He's going to beat the crap out of the current governor. And if he gets in, then this law, this crazy law, gets passed. They're going to pass it, and then Collins is going to secure that in 2 years, they lose the Democrats lose the Senate seats, and in 2 more years they lose the other Senate seat, and now it's back to a Republican state.
But if you're a betting person, by the way, I can almost assure you that Stacey Abrams will be the Democratic candidate running in 2 years' time.
I also want to say that if you're a betting person, looking at the trend since 2017, it's been blue wave after blue wave. We didn't have the biggest blue wave in the House this time, but we had an incumbent president with the entire machinery, and we still won all 3 of those houses. I know that it's a trend. I'm a political scientist. I understand. I know that it's a trend to just get your ass handed to you after you win an election. But I think we're in trend-changing days right now, and I think that this impeachment trial is going to make a difference. If I was a campaign manager of someone who was running for Congress right now, and especially a Republican, I realize that there won't be any congressional races beginning until July because of what's going to happen this spring. There's going to be such a shakeout and a need for a cool down time. They should be in their cool down time right now after losing. They should have been in it since about maybe December, but they never went through a cool down time. They're still like, wah! And so there's no sussing out. There's no changing of power. There's no post-mortem. They're still caught in a campaign that actually is going to hurt them in terms of fundraising and planning. And nobody's talking about that right now, but in campaigns and elections mode, that's where they're at. They're like, damn it, we can't do anything until we get past this because we're married to Trump.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Marty. They should have done a postmortem, and in that postmortem, they should have recognized that Donald Trump, they lost the by-elections, they lost the Senate, they didn't win the House, they lost the presidency, they lost 2 Senate races in a runoff that happened on January 6th. This guy has delivered nothing except 3 Supreme Court justices who, by the way, agree to toss out his case. But they should look and do a postmortem and realize this guy hasn't really garnered any success for us at all. He has a record for the last 2 years of losing those elections. Why on earth are we going to handcuff ourselves to a guy that, causes us to be defeated over and over again?
Because there's no one else. That's the problem. This is what happens when you don't have a true leader. Think about the Democratic Party. I can name you 3-4 people that right now, if I said, would you be surprised if this person would be president in the next 8 years? You would be like, no. Who would
Right.
you name in the Republican Party that you would be like, oh, this is the leader of the Republican Party?
No one. No
They
one.
knew that.
Also,
They
I
knew
also,
that.
yeah.
You think people are going to really line up to be voting for Ted Cruz?
Right.
Come
And
on.
by the way,
They don't
you
have
know,
a star.
yeah, with the exception of the quirky like yoga lady, what was Marianne
Yeah.
Williamson.
Williamson, yeah.
I actually liked. I loved all our Democratic candidates. You know, I really liked them. I mean, I like ones more than others, and we got in huge debates about this one over that one. Some people were like really passionate about their person, but you know, they were they all get along. They're all good people, and you know, by and large, you know, I would have been happy with just about any one of them, to be honest. But you look at the other side, they're all just thinking about how can I be president, and oh, maybe I need, like, look at Hawley, look at Cruz. You don't care about people. You don't care about Americans. You just want to be president. You guys are just, it's just self promotion. It's awful. It's ugly. I don't understand how I mean, I hear that some of these
They exhibit so much weakness.
Yeah.
I mean, to flip the House in 2 years, the Republicans will have to do one of two things: stay stuck to Trump and keep the party together that way, or ditch Trump, recover, and move forward. Anything in between, they're gonna have a split party. They're gonna have a hard time getting out of the primaries with somebody that makes sense.
The House.
Then when it gets to the election, you're gonna have either disaffected Trump voters or disaffected Republicans.
Exactly.
Because the primary candidate isn't on the right team, and they're gonna split the vote, and the Democrats will win flat across the board. So either it's going to be the party of Trump, or the Republicans are going to ditch Trump, vote for his impeachment, get him out of the way, and move forward. You know,
we can already
one of
see
the two things that
they
they don't impeach Trump and they leave him out there as a column. The House divided can't stand, and they'll be screwed in 2 years. Screwed.
And conversely, look at the Democrats. I think we all pretty much had fond opinions of the blue cap guy. What's his name? No, his name just escaped me. What's the Asian American?
Yang.
Yeah, we loved Yang, right? That we were great. Yeah. Pete looks like an up and comer. Warren did a fantastic job. Harris did too. You know, I feel very good about the Democratic Party. Yang, thank you. So you look at the other side, and it's just a bunch of misfits. I mean, absolute misfits. I mean, Donald Trump literally said that Ted Cruz is lying Ted, and his dad killed JFK, and his wife's ugly. Marco Rubio, little lying Marco. Like you already put them all through the ringer, and you hate them all. Everyone has misgivings. Mike Pence, now they don't like Mike Pence now. So like Mike Pence thinks Pompeo says that he wants to run for president one day. Pompeo said that Donald Trump was going to win. He was going to be the victor at the end of the day, and that multiculturalism is a load of bullshit. I mean, every one of their guys is like a rogues gallery of criminals or maniacs.
You know that's what they're doing. They want to win the House, and just to temper expectations, it is going to be a tough road for the Democrats to win the House. It's just not looking great.
We'll see. If
you
know what's going to be tough.
We understand.
I can't wait for the Republican primary. It's going to be a bloodbath.
You be careful. The history does not say that that presidents win the House. If you look at this map,
I realize that. I'm not talking about that.
No, we understand. We understand.
And they're already leading.
That's why I said I'm not bucking the trend. I'm just saying that there are some things that are different in this cycle that might affect that trend.
Yeah, if there's a MAGA party, for example. What else? MAGA party.
Oh yeah, if there's a MAGA party, God, I hope there's a MAGA party. Please chop yourselves in half. Go for it. Yep. It'd be a great idea.
It'd be great.
Well, everybody, we're going to call it for tonight. This has been a blast. It's been a hard show. I really appreciate everybody hanging in there and promoting what we're doing because we're in the mix of it right now. In a year, we're going to know what happened. I hope we're going to know where this thing went down. In a few months, hopefully, we know where this went down in terms of this trial and how we go through this conflicted time. What I do know is that if we stick with the truth and we hold on to it, it is our best vessel to finding our way. And I would like to say thanks to Ace and to Jeff and to Luke for being with us tonight. It's our Thursday night show. Forward this thing around. We let these sit up there on our social media, on our YouTube and on Twitter, so that people can see them at another time as well. And just like to thank everybody for being part of what we're doing. We're trying to keep this conversation alive. Say goodbye, guys, as we head out.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one. See you
Be
Sunday.
well, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care. See you on Sunday night at 10 Eastern. And
Woo.
until then, America heals.